immediately by M5, and they're like, yep, we're going to go for Eve. You know, again, whenever it's available, a very, very strong roamer, sets up a lot of opportunities, will scale throughout the game. And the crazy thing here, this is the second time we've seen M5 pick Evelynn and not care about that mid lane. He does not care what he's up against. Like, you know, we saw the Cassiopeia counter pick against Invictus, did not care, lost a kill in lane, but still scaled throughout, went like 8-3 in that game, had a phenomenal job. Diamond still trying to figure out what his champion is, but you're seeing M5 already set up for a late game scaling composition. Grabbing this Yorick here in this means they're also not burstable anymore. No matter who TPA tries to kill out, they're still going to be able to put, you know, a clone back on someone, whether they revive Alex Ish, whether they revive Genja, no matter what it is, the guy's going to come back to life and continue fighting. It's a really strong setup still here for M5.
So now, knowing with those picks, do you still think they may go with the Vayne? That would be a super late game team coming from Moscow 5, then Q, but they've, you know, last time they actually showed Zyra and then went to select Eve and took Zyra later. So they've seen they've tended to do that quite a bit on M5's side.
Actually, Vayne would make quite a bit of sense here because they're against a not hyper-aggressive lane. Whenever you're against a Kog'Maw, he's not the biggest lane bully. It's not Corki, Ezreal, or Graves.
You gotta wait
who are
so
going to
long
jump
to
into your
attack
face.
those.
Right, yeah, he's got to swing at auto attacks. He doesn't really spam abilities much at you. He's not a great poker. You can take some damage, but if you've got Nunu, Vayne together, that late game is ludicrously good. And especially when you've got a Yorick on that team, even if Vayne does die, again, she will come back to life and continue wreaking havoc. IPL 3 was actually the tournament that was defined by Yorick Vayne. You saw teams have to ban out Yorick to deal with that kind of situation. It made it really, really awkward. And it's weird here to actually see Taric picked up with the Kog'Maw, because it's not a lane synergy you see very often. You typically see Taric as an aggressive laner, as a bullier, but they're saying, no, we're going to pair that up with Kog, and they've got a really weird mix of lane control, where Taric can stop any aggression, but at the same time, they've also still got Kog'Maw just being Kog'Maw and really kind of scaling himself throughout. So you're still seeing, you know, a lot of potential pickups here, and really no guaranteed overall strategies. The mid lane still not picked up for TPA Assassins, and still that total bottom lane and the top lane, or possibly jungle really, still not picked up for M5 Ben Q.
You know, Freak, they're going to have to be really safe in this bottom lane. Unless they choose to do some type of swap, Lee Sin, or at least Diamond Prox himself, starting on that blue side, likes to start those red champions and could go for that early bottom gank. So that Taric, although isn't the best synergy, as you said, with Kog'Maw, is going to help. We see them actually going for the Vayne pickup and the Zhao.
So this is M5 really playing a very similar strategy to their very first game in this tournament, where they've got that Evelynn in middle. They're not worried too much about the matchup. They've got, you know, just a hyper scaling bottom lane. Genja going with the summoner heal on Vayne to keep himself alive longer, and Zhao's going to be forced to play the role of main tank. Actually, no, Zhao won't play main tank. He's actually going to be in the jungle. It's Yorick up at the top lane, and Yorick should be able to farm himself up some decent durability. Zhao's going to be much more of an assassin in this lineup, and that's going to be a little bit hard for him, because I don't know if Zhao Evelynn can completely kill off that Kog'Maw. He's got the Shen shield still available. There's a stun and a heal from Taric. I'm actually not sure that M5 Ben Q can kill off Kog'Maw. So right now, that point we talked about, adapt to the carry, I don't know if they can completely adapt to BB in this game. It's going to depend a lot on how that lane matches up. As they're seeing the rest of this champion pool come through, looks like TPA Assassins going for a Karthus pickup. So it's interesting. M5 playing a team very, very similar to what they ran Game 1 against Invictus. TPA running a team, honestly, very similar to what Counterlogic Gaming Europe just ran just a few minutes ago. Both these teams actually ridiculously good late games. You know, a mix of teamfight presence in the middle. But these are awkwardly similar teams. I'm actually not sure who comes out ahead here.
Freak, I'm gonna put it out there that I feel like Moscow 5 during that mid to late game is going to have the better initiate. You're looking for Kog'Maw and Karthus to really start to tear out some damage. Alex Ish will be sure to find one of them in the beginning, and you're going to see Nunu iceballing Kog'Maw, completely shutting down his attack speed. So once those are out, the cooldowns from Bear Stance and Dazzle waiting to come back up, and Taunt, if they don't hit those perfectly, it's going to be a very tough fight, because Moscow 5, like Hotshot said, like Dan Din said, they have amazing fighting mechanics.
This is going to be really awkward as well. It's going to be very difficult. Yeah, you know, M5's fighting mechanics are amazing, because Genja's going to have really no chance of getting shut down. It'll be very difficult for him to get kicked out of this matchup. it's difficult. Neither team has amazing hard engage. There's a little bit of poke on both sides, a little bit of pressure on both sides. But this game, I feel like it's going to be the story of AD carries, of late game carries, who aren't going to get caught too much and will just start eviscerating the front line. I think it's a matchup more about gold than about positioning, because there's no ideal positioning on either side.
Yeah, it's going to be that catch somebody off guard the entire time, hide in the bush, allow Nunu's ult to start something, and, you know, continue a very long and sustained fight with the Yorick ulti on Vayne. And that's going to be, you know, the #1 objective for them as they come into this matchup. TPA, as we said before, that suffocation strategy that Moscow 5 may not be able to get away from right away, but we'll be sure to see them fighting hard as they come into that mid to late game. Ladies and gentlemen, the game is underway. Your first quarterfinal match, or semifinal matchup, I should say, of the League of Legends World Championship Playoffs. Here we go.
Alrighty. We get ourselves up into this one. The blue team, once again, M5 BenQ. The red team you're seeing on your screen right here is TPA Assassins. This is going to be an incredibly epic matchup. It's a best of 3, and the winner of this match, the winner of this best of 3, moves on to the $1 million match, that grand final. We're seeing who's going to win between M5 and TPA. Later today, we see who wins between Azubu, Frost, and Counterlogic Gaming Europe. While that's a rematch, that Frost CLG match, that's a rematch of a tournament just a month ago. These are teams who have never seen each other. And once again, TPA saying they most respect M5 of any team in the world. M5 have come through as a heavy favorite here. There is a lot of questions to be answered here. The last Mandarin-speaking team left in this group. There's a Korean team left there from Asia, but we're about to be whittling down this roster very, very quickly. You're seeing TPA open up pretty defensively. You're seeing M5 as well opening pretty defensively. Neither of these teams looking for early aggression.
It looks like Alex Ich just using that invisibility to his advantage right now, just staying slightly out of range, seeing a glimpse of each of the champions on TPA's side as they are hovering that top side. Coming into this, they do have that Udyr in the jungle. You usually see an Udyr focusing blue. What do you think they could be proposing with this just top guard? Do you think they're going to be aggressive from Moscow 5, or they're going to go right around to blue?
They could jump there in at any time. This is one of the really difficult things here, is especially, I actually want to look at Shen real quick and see if Stanley has even learned Vorpal Spike, because if he has saved his point, Stanley has saved his first skill point, so they could absolutely give Lil Balls a Lizard buff and gank right away, but instead it looks like they are going to go aggressively after all and go for an invade.
Looks like they're coming around at just the right time. That blue buff spawning 5 seconds ago, they are going to push them off of this. Moscow 5 kind of conceding here. They're not putting too much pressure. Alex Ich coming around from the backside as well. The top is Zin. The Dazzler goes down. Too much focus. Little Ball's going to help his team now. Diamond with the flash. Alex Ich in poor positioning. And it looks like TPA Assassins, although in somewhat of not a solid position, they will be able to just walk this back and forth. They force the flash from Diamond, and that's going to be very good. You're not going to see huge aggression from him, and that'll kind of shut down his presence out of the jungle.
So this is interesting overall. Oh my gosh, Toys actually teleported into the bottom lane to deal with Genja. I have not seen this in quite some time, but they are lane swapping, and it's just like the Koreans play against Casting. They're putting a 2-on-1 in that mid lane. Any sort of melee mage to run the mid lane, especially one without great long-range tools. Like if it's Gragas can 2v1, it's not really that big of a deal, but someone like Evelynn or Kassadin is going to have a really hard time fighting that 2-on-1 there. So that might have been why Taric got picked up, is once they realized that Blitzcrank was banned out, they said, you know what, okay, let's go for an aggressive mid lane here. You know, you can't do the same thing with Leona because Leona must jump on top of you, but with Taric here, they can shut down Alex. They have a completely free lane for Kog'Maw, so he's going to have gold this entire matchup. This is really, really good.
You know, TPA formulated this perfectly. They went into the jungle and made sure that Moscow 5 wasn't in lane. They weren't soaking up experience. Then when they brought these lanes into sight, they did not give Moscow 5 enough time to react, so they're going to have to stick with what they have for now until they can really have to go back or are forced out of lane. So TPA with a very great strat mentally right now.
And I think they hope to actually give that Golem buff away to Toys at the beginning. They know Udyr can jungle without that kind of buff, but Toys wants that mana to survive the lane. At the same time, they're pushing up for a gank.
And this is what you get out of a squishy AP carry going down for first blood for Moscow 5.
That is the perfect play right there. That is exactly what they need to do, is they know he's got a bit of a weak matchup. They got Diamond around the jungle fast enough that he did show up for that gank. That's a really, really great play. Even got the blue steal as part of it. That's really good counter-strat orchestration here by M5 BenQ. Alex still with a bad lane, only 2 minion kills. You've got to remember that. That's a very big disadvantage, but at the same time, it's still risky for it's still difficult for both these teams this early game.
So you see Udyr coming out to middle. Looks like he could try to get some help on Little Balls, showing some presence, going back into the jungle. They had that ward on Wraiths, so he could retime it, actually putting another one down. Diamond with both buffs, making his way through the jungle. Gosu joining in mid, so Alex can get a little bit easier of a time here. We see Mistake's hand is raised, and we're going to get him fixed up. Probably just pointing out a few things with his headphones. Could have a little bit of a sound issue. But these guys right now, with that lane swap, you saw Karthus go down, and I'd say Vayne is a pretty good counter to that. You can condemn him away if he's getting close. You can just dive away from the lay waste. That's going to be, like you said, a fed lane for that.
It's difficult on both sides. It's interesting. So as far as the lane goes, you're absolutely right. That Genji's going to have a really good time fighting Karthus one-on-one. She's got Tumble to dodge lay waste. She's got Contend to push him back. Yeah. In general, she should be pretty safe. The difficulty, though, is that he's not worried about the lane too much. He's just trying to farm and survive, and as long as M5 doesn't keep showing up, he'll be okay. The difficulty for Vayne actually is team fights. Yes, she can condemn him back, and that makes it a little bit nice, but if she's ever to fight, she will be in range for Wall of Pain, she will be in range for Lay Waste, and she's almost definitely going to be in range for Defile, especially if you played Suicide Karthus, who just runs into the front and tries to soak up hits and tries to just, get you in range for everything. You've got to sort of realize, like, even if Genja has a really good team fight and Karthus dies, he's got to realize, okay, well, do I stay in Defile and keep team fighting and hope to out-lifesteal it, or do I get zoned for 7 seconds, get forced out of the battle because of Defile and because of Lay Waste, and come back later? Leaving 7 seconds for BB to fight people as Kog'Maw is really, really scary. So Genja in a bit of a tricky spot. I think that's actually why partially TPA waited so long to pick their mage, is they were trying to see what was going to come out from M5. When it's Vayne that comes out, Karthus is a really, really good pick here, and actually can really screw with her early mid game. When we used to see Kennen be more popular, we saw Kennen as a counterpick to Vayne because that's slicing Maelstrom the same way. Right. If Vayne is to fight at all, she's going to be in range of slicing Maelstrom, and if she's to fight at all here, she's going to be in range of Defile and Lay Waste. That
could be very tough for them. They have that oriented team that wants to get into the fight. They have Xin, they have Nunu that's going to have to get in there to ult, if anything, to slow people down with that Ice Blast as well, and you just have a team that wants to get in. So they're going to have to, at some point, leave him to himself, so he's got to be careful.
And this is interesting, too, because, while both teams are a bit late-game oriented, TPA's lineup is all about kind of getting in and sticking to it. They've got hardcore initiation. Udyr cannot kite at all. He's just simply got to go all in. Shen goes all in. Kog'Maw's going to fire from the back, and that's fine, but, Karthus and all these guys are going to kind of just go in and just kind of go for the push and fight hard and stick in that battle. That's kind of how TPA is going to get into those fights, and that really plays, again, to their advantage because they will try to push out, Vayne and things like that. M5's lineup is much more they've got the hardcore initiation, but it's very much about burst damage. We saw this synergy in the very first game where it was Xin Zhao on top of Evelynn. Xin Zhao does a percentage of your current health with Crescent Sweep. It's going to hit everyone for a lot of damage. Evelynn's going to hit everyone with her ultimate for a percentage of their maximum health. So at the very start of the fight, if TPA is not positioned well and their team is melee heavy, it's aggression to the fight, it's get close together, they can all get hit by those ultimates and all get shrunk down to half health the second the fight starts. That is a scary place to be in. We just saw that first team comp, 3 of them dealing percentage max health damage. Right? Again, Xin Zhao, Evelynn, and Kog'Maw. Well, now Xin Zhao, Evelynn, and Vayne, all of them will continue to keep scaling with the game for free. Again, it's a late game team composition, a lot of burst damage at the beginning, and it's just kind of held in the back by a late game carry who will keep killing people off. So you're going to look for these fights to be, you're going to look basically to the first 4 seconds of the fight. Where is M5's initiation good? Did Alex get free roam? Did Genja get free roam? If yes to either of those, great. They're going to be in pretty good shape for the fight overall. TP has to go all in their persistent damage. If they actually catch someone with their all in, with Shen into Udyr into Taric, that person should die. They've got so much persistent damage with Karthus, with Kog'Maw, and even with just like Shen and Udyr kind of punching things in the face, they can kill someone in those 5 seconds. So, does M5 get the right initiation, burst someone down, disengage the right target, have him re-enter, or does TPA catch that one target, kill the one guy, and then move on onto a 5v4? That's really the sort of make or break point on these team fights.
He takes it into his own hands, and I think really the person to watch for this, and when it gets into the initiation, is Alex Ich. Really makes Eve into a hard initiator for what it's worth. We saw him diving Kid completely within 5 members of Invictus Gaming during their games to set up and start the fights, pretty much from it was a requiem hitting somebody. You saw the life disappear. Alex would take so many cooldowns, and then he would flash out of the fight. And that's what you're talking about, Free, because if TPA cannot use those first cooldowns right, can get those sustained hits in, they're going to get bursted out of the fight. So we're going to watch for Alex Ish to really come in here and start these out. It's going to be scary, though. You have Taunt, Dazzle, and Bear Stance. So if they don't get those fights right, as you said, it's going to be pretty torturous. We should see this coming into late game. Alex does not like to fight. We saw him going down to Cassiopeia on Zatai quite a bit in the Invictus game. He was just having trouble in lane. Here, seems like he's actually doing a little bit better in the start. And the mids have dodged back and forth. Obviously, he does have that double support in mid with him, so he won't be going against Karthus in the orthodox middle AP carry gameplay. So we'll have to see if Alex can really get himself formidable enough to do the initiations he did in that last game, because that Eve was really a factor for any of the team fights to begin.
This is actually, and she is a huge factor. And you're absolutely right. Alex is going to be a huge playmaker for this M5 lineup. But it's different here. What TPA's done, again, despite the Karthus dying, of course, that's a little bit harsh. It's a lot of free gold for Genja and that kind of, actually, Genja got some. Actually, the first blood went to Gosu Pepper. But the really difficult thing here, though, is Alex will scale with gold much more than that top lane than Darien would. The first game where Darien was stuck in a 1v2 had a very abysmal early game as Zhao, or he was in the 1v1 and had a very rough early game as Olaf. They weren't relying on him for the composition. That wasn't really him. He wasn't the linchpin of the strategy.
Right.
In this, when you've got an AP Evelynn, that is a linchpin. She needs to get that burst on. They don't have the safe damage output. Vayne is catchable. Diamond being on Zhao as a jungler means he's not going to get a lot of gold. He's not going to hyperscale. It's not the same as getting a soul in Zhao. Yep. He doesn't have the option of buying Youmu's in a Bloodthirster or a Trinity Force or things like that and really scale himself up. He won't have that. He'll have Wriggles. He might have an Aegis. And that's going to be most of the items you're going to see. He'll kind of stop at Wriggles Aegis and try to go from there, but you're not going to see that build stretch much more. And you look at Darien. Darien's on Yorick. Yorick is not a hard carry. Yorick is there as, a sort of half support, very brutal laner, but he's against Shen. He's not going to shut down Shen. Shen's got free sustain. He's got a shield. That lane matchup is not great for M5 there either. It really is on Alex to join Genja on top of piles of gold. Alex needs to become Scrooge McDuck and actually get those coins in his pockets because he does need to support and be another damage threat here. I don't think they can rely on just Genja here.
Freaking, it may come into play here. Jat was talking about it within the last game of when they switch up the lanes, it becomes very easy, and some people forget that other people are going to show up in the jungle that much sooner. So you'll see, especially there's a Karthus on the map. A lot of people will forget that, and even when you're playing with them, they'll go in for a very hard fight in the tower dive and then forget Karthus is on the map. And those little things are going to give the other team increments to get ahead and ahead. And we'll have to see if this mid lane swap, we haven't really seen too much invading other than that level 1. Since those two are in mid, I think the buff control is kind of just going to be left to each team. And these dragon fights are going to be very big in the early game.
Dragon's going to be a huge deal for M5 because as soon as we get to the mid game where the lanes start hitting level 6, TPA has like the ultimate dive comp ever, where they're going to try to leave Karthus alone and let him sit in his lane and just farm up, and I think he's going to be reasonably safe. What they're going to look for is getting BB farmed, and as a side benefit, shutting down Alex Ish on Evelynn. That's really the goal here. The way a jungler really works, I was talking with Dan about the role of a jungler, and he was saying that a jungler is there to put your team ahead. It's there to push forward, kind of amplify a teammate. You don't gank as a jungler to shut someone down so much. I mean, of course, you remove them from lane, they get a little bit behind, but you gank to get someone ahead. You gank for a teammate, not against an opponent. That's really how you think about jungling, is it really is there to bolster your teammates. And the fortunate thing here is I think they really, really want to gank to bolster BB. He is the major carry here on Kog'Maw. He will be the most receptive to gaining gold because he needs to make sure that he has enough levels and items and whatnot to withstand Alex's burst and withstand Diamond's burst. If he can do those, he's good to go, smooth sailing. He can just solo Zhao, withstand the burst from Evelynn, and just be fine, right? He's going to have a great time. The secondary benefit, though, is that lane right now, it actually will be a gank on Alex Ish on Evelynn. And yes, again, removing someone from a lane will, stop them getting a little bit of gold. It will stop them getting a little bit of experience. It will slow him down quite a bit. And those intersect very, very, very well. And the problem is, for M5 really, is Diamond will love to counter gank. And he will. He'll do a really good job of showing up and supporting Alex, supporting Ghost Pepper, trying to shut down BB. But here's the issue. TPA has Stanley on Shen, and they've got toys on Karthus. So as long as they gank that mid lane, they send the jungler in, the support's already there, they're going to have 5 members participating every single time they go mid. The Global from Requiem, the Global Stand United from Shen, they're all going to be there. TPA can bring 5 people to a fight every 3 minutes, and they should. Every time those spells are up, they should go back to mid and crush Alex's hopes and dreams. If they can rinse and repeat that, they're going to have a really, really good time of this. what M5 has done is they've brought Gosu Pepper to the mid lane. They've sent Nunu as a support to Alex, which is a little bit harsh because now he's going to get less experience having to share that lane. But I don't think that Nunu's necessarily enough to keep that really happening. That I think really TPA has a lot of keys here in this early mid game. They can just push through, you know, ignore the first blood. Toys is going to be okay. His flash is still up. He's going to scale throughout. He'll get that Rod of Ages, sustain in lane. If he's really stuck in a 1v1, it's not going to be that big of a deal. And I think he's going to survive this overall.
You know, Freak, something we haven't brought to point as well is even if that late game starts to go in favor of Moscow 5, you have the double teleport, the Stand United and the Karthus teleport. So even if Requiem is coming from across the map, he's going to be in your face. We're now back into the game after everything is situated. 1-0 here. 4 minutes and 43 seconds on that, and I'm a liar. Call me a liar. This guy right here. So we are going to just take that a quick second. Looks like he liked it at first. There's a monitor and mouse that they're just kind of working out here. So once he gets that situated, we all know that stuff's not working right. You don't want to go any further. You want to get it situated. So as we were saying, that teleport strategy that could be used, it just adds to the versatility of the composition that they do have good initiation to start, Stand United, that wall of pain, and then the teleport in if Karthus has to Requiem from across the map to start. So that late game could be denied a little bit. Well, let's look at the matchup between the king and queen of hyper late game carry, that Kog'Maw versus Vayne. Now, a Vayne can be very scary and can definitely outplay a Kog'Maw. Stun him against the wall, that fight's over. But Kog'Maw has the upper hand from the start. Yeah,
so the thing is here that Vayne really has the best dueling of the AD carries. She's got the condemn against the wall you just mentioned, the invisibility, the tumble, all the damage. She is absolutely right, the queen of AD carries. And it's great that she's a great duelist as well, because she is right now dueling up against Karthus, and she'll be able to play that matchup correctly and completely dominate that one. Now Kog'Maw, I think he's got a bit of a better lane there. He's supported with the Taric, and that was actually a pick for the lane more so than just sort of the team comp. So that ended up working out as a shutdown. And yeah, he should have an easy time of this one, and he will, I think, in general, outscale unless assassins get too big. So Vayne can tumble and go invisible for a second and push someone back. That's her safety net. It's decent. It's there. She can kind of keep herself a bit safer. Kog'Maw does not have that. Kog'Maw just has range. But Diamond can reach that as Zhao. Alex can reach that as Evelynn. So you've got a very weird mismatch here where there's no assassin there for Genja. Genja shouldn't be under much pressure. Yes, Karthus will be painful, but if he has the lifesteal and the positioning on Vayne to survive it, then Vayne is untouched and Vayne will continue to fight. It's really on Alex and Diamond. It's a different matchup here, right? Because Genja is going to be on himself. You know, can you dodge? Can you play well? Okay, Genja, then you're fine if you're good enough. But it's on Diamond and Alex for gold, really, right? Do they get farmed enough? Do they get the damage? Can they shut down Kog? And if they can, there's not as many options here for BB. He can cleanse a slow, but that's about it.
All right, guys. So I'm pretty sure we asked you to ask us questions. LoL Worlds is the hashtag, and you guys did. So we're going to answer a few of those right now as the players get themselves situated and we get this underway. So as your social questions come in, we will be sure to get those answered. It's going to be Bobby Ray 25 on Twitter. He's saying, Freak and Riv, do you feel the metagame of each region will merge into a world meta?
Well, it's interesting because there's actually different approaches on each side. So Dan was talking about, you know, how a lot of the Asian teams play, where they'll prepare their own individual strategies and rehearse them and get them very prepared and kind of go for it. And the Asians in general seem to be very aggressive. They're a little bit M5-esque. And so what I was thinking, you know, as a point was that, you know, these guys don't. You know, these guys haven't played M5 almost ever. They rarely leave their region. M5's kind of an enigma, but they've got a lot of great teams to practice against. And you know, the only European teams that most of these Asian teams have seen is CLG EU, who plays so different from M5. But realistically, those Asian teams actually just play very similarly. It's aggressive. It's a lot of counter juggling. It's a lot of early movements and great team fight presence overall. Even in this tournament, though, we've got different strats. CLG EU is late game focused, and the only team that really does that, or them and CLG NA, where they avoid team fights early on and then try to win at the 35-minute mark. Now, I think that you know, teams will keep their own strategies.
And guys, I believe we are now jumping back into the game. We do see the lane movement going around, so let's get the action back underway here. 5 minutes into the matchup. We are in that bit of a top lane here. It is 5,300 gold to 5,600 gold. You can see Stanley and Darian just kind of duking it out. Stanley preemptively shielding up to make sure he dodges that ghoul damage. Darian just pushing out his mana from that bar. Stanley will have a little bit better time in this lane, but like we said, Freak, that is not a fight lane. Those guys are not going to take each other down. Alex Ish being pressured very hard in mid here. As you see, Gosu Pepper is still forced to go around the map. He is still making sure his lanes are okay, and that's going to be bottom. from Genja as well. Huge damage there. Nice dazzle. BB taking a turret shot. This is the pressure here. This is the stranglehold suffocation that Type A Assassins wants to throw on. Nunu can't always stay middle. He still wants to support Vayne. That's going to become a tough lane. Genja's not too hurt right now, and he's actually farming just as well as we see Toys. The flash, the initiation, the dazzle goes down, but he flashes out perfectly. Diamond coming in to deter this attack, and they also waste the Summoner Exhaust there. One attack from Alex. You can see him always doing the little bit amount of damage, getting the upper hand as much as they can.
And that was really, really good. Diamond knew that was a prime counter. It was a prime gank attempt right there. Was waiting in the wings, immediately jumped on, put on the crowd control, and a great move. 2 flashes used to try to jump on Alex. Alex, the 1 flash of himself, got himself out. Really, really good plays. But I want to talk about this top lane a little bit. Stanley's making some cool moves. Whenever a ghoul chases after him, if he can do it, he actually runs into the brush and forces the ghoul to stop and actually hit minions instead. So you'll see when the lane is actually more neutral right here, Stanley will jump to the brush to kind of deter those kind of moves, and it allows him to push back to his turret. That's a really good move to do against Yorick to keep that lane kind of in your favor. But you're seeing that matchup still much better for Shen. He's winning in minions, and he'll continue to do well. And now being the first to level 6 as well means he can really support these gank attempts and really just snowball his side lanes ahead. You won't see Karthus get tower dive nearly as easily again.
So not usually seeing the Dorans on a jungler. Xin going for that first. Diamond feels like he just wants lane presence to get out here and wants to be a little bit more tanky. You can see him going down towards bottom lane or into the blue brush. He doesn't see that Karthus is there. Are going to get some invasion here into the jungle. Just a ward from Diamond. That was his only one. He was backing previously, so we may see him go back to buy. Gosu joining again with even mid. That Blood Boil on. Not going to assist too powerfully much, but obviously help her get out of some sticky situations, especially with Dazzle. And you can see it, Little Ball's doing the exact same thing, pretty much just mirroring what we saw Diamond Procs do, heading around, warding the jungle, making sure every one of the bushes is clear, and we can see they're getting quite aggressive here. The roam comes in from the jungler and support. This is the benefit of having those guys in mid, but like I said, there will be others there. Little Balls may have forgot that right away, and here comes the Stand United into the fight. This means that Stanley, or rather, that's going to be Darian now having quite a fun top lane freak, but as I said before, they weren't controlling objectives, they go and take it.
And that was a really orchestrated move. We talked in the pregame about M5 having team-based counter jungling. Well, they actually sent Karthus all the way from bottom lane to walk over, saying, we're going to steal the blue. We have the numbers advantage. We know we will outfight an underfarmed Evelynn. We know we will outfight them. We've got Stand United. They simply walked over, and M5 knew it. M5 knew they had complete control, did not even contest anything. Now, they had waited in the brush. They knew they couldn't win the fight, but they knew they could at least burn Stand United. And so they burned one of those not summoners, but one of those very long cooldown ultimates. It's a very, very big move there.
So we're seeing great defense from Moscow 5, Ben Q in mid. Usually you see the AD carry support switch coming in to really drop a lane as soon as possible and push that person around for the roam. But they've really swapped the lanes just back to normal. That kill going to Genja. They're saying Vayne could start to get a little strong. We see Gosu coming in. They go for a mistake, however. The dazzle goes out into Xin. The 3 talent has not popped him up yet. The crowd control is great, but there is the teleport as well. Stand United is not going to come in this fight, so they are faced with the amount of champions from TPA they have here, and they're still forced to back up. Very low mana and health coming into that fight, and a scene, Little Balls right here, seeing LHH as he's forced to run in the bush. That ward gives him a bit of vision, and there's the speed buff steroid coming in for Alex to get out safely. TPA now grabs their own blue buff, but Alex sits on the wing to try and take this one away. Pressure coming in as well from Diamond. They do have that ward. They do not get the steal on it. Goes to Little Balls.
And that bottom lane fight really should have gone in M5's favor. There's 2 rules really of fighting in general. Number 1 is if you're on a 2-on-2, you always attack the AD carry, because if you don't attack him, he'll attack you back and he'll win that fight. And that was the rule that that Genja was following. You saw him jump up and try to focus down BB's Kog'Maw. The problem was that wasn't a 2-on-2, it was a 3-on-2. It was a free kill completely, and the team focused on the mistake. They exhausted the mistake. They stunned mistake. And Genja went for the entire other champion. If he landed 3 attacks on a mistake, that would have been a kill on the Taric, or at the very least forcing his flash out. But that's not what they did. They completely did not go for him. And they would have been 300 gold for Genja without a doubt if he went for the right target.
So we see 10 minutes coming into the game. The pressure not so much causing falters, but a little bit of miscommunication there. We did see 10,900 gold to 10,400. Very, very close in the economy situation. And it is 1 kill in favor of Moscow 5. We saw them grab that. It did go over to Gosu, rather, in middle, but we got 2 assists on it. That's going to be going to Diamond as well as Genja. So two good people to get that money early in the game. And we can see Genja quickly not just going for straight damage, but trying to really scale that W up with the Zeal right off the bat.
And that's really how you kind of play as Vayne, is you've got a lot of base damage because of Silver Bolts and Tumble and all that. And so what you're really trying to go for is just speed. It's getting into fights, you know, engaging and disengaging. She's a little bit short range because she doesn't have those long range poke tools like Kog'Maw does. And so she's going to kind of keep setting herself up and get into and out of fights as fast as possible.
Ward clearing going on now, coming from Little Balls, double buff on that Udyr. The lane is pushed up quite a bit, but they know that Ward was just taken out. He shows himself bottom. This is going to give some help. This is a perfect chance to counter. Now that he is gone, he's going to walk away quite a bit. We see him coming back here. Diamond's going to know that procced him to just stay. Little Balls is still very much so interested in this fight. Diamond has backed, so still Moscow 5 must be careful. Great job, Gosu Pepper using the mentality to act as just a live ward in the bush to keep Genja safe.
And right now you're seeing the sort of matchup for TPA is that I think they're happy to kind of scale throughout this game. And I think they want to keep putting pressure on Alex and get a lot of gold up there and keep him from farming. I think this is the one time you would actually gank to shut someone down, because they don't want to give Alex, Evelynn, those roam opportunities, because you know, he's at the level now, being level 8 really, where he can actually shove minion waves out. You just saw him do that now, and he's going to roam around the map and look for an opportunity. If they can keep Alex down and burn his spells, he can't do that.
And we see quite low health going into a fight. They initiate down bottom. A beautiful job there. They called in to stand united for the fight. Diamond procs coming in very big. He charges in to get the kill. Alex coming up with that one onto Kog'Maw. BB trying to blast out the true damage. And we are going to find mistake on the chase. Stanley is quite hurt as well. Darian coming down to assist the fight. This is going to be huge for Moscow 5 if they can continue to micro themselves out of the damage. Little Balls is left by himself as Toys flashes away. The triple kill for Moscow 5. Darian coming up huge. 4 altogether.
Believe that roam coming through, and of course it is complete control for Dragon. They could even go to mid if they wanted to pick up another turret, but I think they're going to recall back instead. They know if they're low on health, they could get counter pushed instead. So you're going to see Darian come back, walk to that top lane. You're going to see Genja just kind of get his health back up, life stealing that whole bottom lane. But what a good opening there. The move down from Darian to show up to that fight in time. The Ghoul's putting out so much damage. That was amazing. You see that TPA lineup really trying to use their ultimates for the engage to make that happen. Let's watch a replay and see just what those moves were. Darian, really the MVP in that fight.
Пока что. Дарьян, давай, пизди. Хорош, хорош, Дарьян. Удира лучше. Удира.
Будет за медлом, будет.
Давай, хорош. Дракона. Хорош,
Барашка.
There you have it. Such a strong fight coming from Moscow 5, and they really controlled it from the beginning. It was an amazing thought by Taipei Assassins. The initiation from everywhere but the lane itself. The Requiem comes in. The Stand United comes on. And the only real initiation you see from bottom lane is a few steps forward so Shen can get that taunt off. Everything worked perfectly, but kudos to Moscow 5's bottom lane for getting out just an inch in time.
And that's really, there's two things to point out there as well. Is the one is you look at how well sort of coordinated M5 BenQ is. The only one even talking in that fight is Alex. Everyone else knows their jobs exactly. No one else to talk. No one has to say anything because they all know each other so well. That roster is so stable that it's clear, it's concise, and it's just Alex saying, here's where we're going. Okay, Darian, cast this. Guys, go in here. And he's just the mastermind making all those calls. And that's the first team I've really seen play like that. Well, you know, a lot of them will just yell for every kill. If you listen to like CLG, actually if you listen to Curse's sort of in-game chat, you can't hear anything. I've tried.
A little aggression here on Genja, and he gets stunned up twice. A very nice job from Dazzle into Bear. And he gets pushed out of lane here. This is going to be big. Taipei needs to get some ground in these lanes.
And this is the difficulty, though, is they just try their major engage using all their main cooldowns. So like coming back the next 30 seconds, that's a big deal. But if you saw how CLG EU did it, is they actually counter-engaged with Requiem. They actually let the fights come to them and then turn them around. Now, I think TPA should put the aggression on. I think they have the team for it. But that's really the difference here, is that if you're kind of going in with those spells, it's much harder to turn those fights around.
See the blue buff going out. Alex grabs it away. Doesn't even have smite. 15 minutes in the game. Gosu Pepper goes down for this. So kind of a back and forth there. You did lose a champion. It's going to be a kill coming up, I believe, for Bebe there, so, or BB rather, so he's going to be getting himself some gold. Both the AD carries kind of building up the same way as Kog'Maw, that cheaper build as well, coming in with the Zeal, able to use that W Bio Arcane Barrage percentage health damage that you're always going to be doing. However, that only comes up every so often, so you'll see him trying to get himself within range in the fight. Coming up from the backside, here's the assassination. Up until mid-game, AlexEish doesn't want to fight, but there you can see just how aggressive he is once he gets the chance.
Once again, it's going to be how he plays that matchup. He is an assassin against a mage with not a lot of defensive escape tools. It's going to be kind of over and over that kind of story. And now next time, Stand United will not be back up. AlexEish on Evelynn only has 45 seconds to go until that ult is back up. Meanwhile, it's more like 2.5 minutes here for Stanley on Shen. And that is a mismatch that M5 is going to need to do. You heard Jat during the WE-CLG match where he was saying that you know, they've got to put those windows in between Karthus ults.
The teleport coming in, Toys now coming out as well. And here the Wall of Pain takes down Gosu. The Wall of Pain is down. Genja's going to be able to run out, and he just continues to lose his support. Obviously, he's happy to not go down, but that is going to continuously feed that bottom lane.
That's exactly fine, and every single time, you know, it's a 3-on-2. You don't need to focus the carry. Do not get caught up in the fact that kills are for shutdowns. Kills are for golds. In a team fight, kills are for shutdowns. You don't want them fighting you. But as far as ganks are concerned, ganks are there to just give yourself and your teammates 300 gold and split that 58% assist gold with everyone else who's in that fight. That's what it's for. It's there to get Toys farmed, because he knows that mid lane, it's risky. Alex has his ult back up. Now, he's got no ignite, but he's going to have enough damage here, Sorcerer's Shoes, and a lot of extra ability power to keep putting that pressure and really make life super, super miserable here for Toys.
For Freak, I think this is one of the times like we've seen either of these teams not start dictating fights, you know, before towers have gone down. They're staying in their lanes. There's been only ganks. Usually we see a huge tower dive coming in. Genja face checking the bushes. They go in without any vision, and it's going to be huge. The Requiem comes down onto Genja. They give mistake against the wall, but he's forced to dash away. Beautiful job knowing he could do the damage there as he dazzled mistakes, or he rather condemned mistakes so he could not dazzle, and got some extra damage. And these guys really playing the mechanics to the top of their limit. 8 kills into this game. It's 5-3 in favor of M5 BenQ as they continue their aggression. There's really no snowball to either team. About of a 3K gold lead here. Genja once again stunned up. They can't get inside for Bear Stance. His flash was up, and that could have been a considerable kill for them.
That was really risky overall. You just see Genja kind of playing this matchup by the skin of his teeth right there, using Summoner Heal to bait out the flash from BB. And as soon as he came in there, he was like, Summoner Heal, fight me. And BB was like, no, we're good, thanks. And just simply backed off from that one. But that's kind of the gameplay you're going to see from M5. They're going to fight these very sort of neck-and-neck, tooth-and-nail battles that are just extremely close overall. And the way they're going to really tip is if Alex gets to finally roam. He's not been able to run into these matchups very much. He's been fighting his lane opponent, stalking Toys here in the jungle. This could be good for him.
Toys not really catching him there. Huge damage coming out from AlexEish. Will he flash over for the kill? And it looks like he may be able to get Landmass Q out. He lands it, makes it out alive.
Alex playing that one right. Again, he's got the Deathfire Grasp picked up there. It's exactly what he wanted to do, was simply turn those around and just assassinate Toys. And you look at Toys' build, he's got those flat magic resist, he's got the Rod of Ages, but he needs more. He needs some actual magic resist. Normally you see Rabbidan's Death Cap come out next, but right now he needs a Negatron Cloak. He needs to not get one-shotted by Alex in lane, because that will keep happening every time.
Oh, BB not looking so good right here, but the Condemn just going off a little bit, and it pushes him towards his turret. That's not really going to be an initiation here for TPA. Good damage coming out, however, from BB. He did get that BF sword. He knew he needed damage versus the Silver Bolts of Vayne. That right into Phantom Dancer was not going to work for them, although would help to shred those tanky champions coming in. And there it is, the initiation onto Genja, the Ice Blast to BB so he can't attack, just back and forth. Great job down bottom, but TPA continuing the aggression as well, so great job from them.
And there is a lot of poke potential there. Anytime Dazzle lands, BB is guaranteed to land that the arcane, the ultimate there, the living artillery as it's called, to get some free harass down. That last time I thought he would have landed that for a couple of hundred damage right there. There's not a lot of sustain overall on Genja. You see, two sort of builds there from Vayne. One of the main ones is rushing Bloodthirster, and that lifesteal would really keep Genja alive. But as you're seeing here, as he fights the Lizard buff, there's not a lot of lifesteal for him. He's just got those 2 Doran's Blades, so that poke will stick around quite a bit onto Vayne. They should keep that pressure going.
A few of the turrets now pretty hurt for Moscow 5. Meaning those prep turrets could really mean a lot after an objective fight here if it can be forced by TPA assassins in the right formation. They will be able to push that mid turret. Don't know how hurt that top turret is. It's actually still got some health. You can see Darian doing very well in his lane. And now Genja and Gosu Pepper trying to defend theirs as well. Is not too hurt, so they have a good lane going down bottom. A lane that can both get Genja farmed as well as keep Gosu somewhat alive. He's gone down quite a bit for his team this game. The only one to have the 3 kills on that board, and that's the person they want dying if somebody's going to go down. So they've done it in the correct fashion if it were to happen.
Mistake just waiting around trying to find Gosu Pepper out. The ultimates are at both Requiem and Stand United. TPA is going to look for another fight as Evelynn comes from the back. Expect all ults to be burned. TPA, they could be okay. Actually, Low Ball's waiting around. If they go in, he's going to be in good shape.
Yeah, that teleport's just coming up for TPA Toys. Here we go, though, on the BB. So much damage. He tries to cleanse. He looks like he's going to make it out of this one. Just on the outside of Gosu's absolute zero. They do a ton of damage. TPA cannot stay in the fight with the amount coming out from Genja. He is just able to focus whoever he wants from the backside. And you can see Diamond creating such a frontline presence.
Wow, so much damage was available there. I can't believe that turned as easily as it did. With Stanley there, Low Ball's there, everyone there to tank, it just did not matter. They just completely burned through Taric's health bar, no matter what. Happy to kill support, happy to bring everyone's health bar down and simply make the fight happen. Darian did not have to be involved whatsoever, and they still won that in a 4v4.
Slowing down Toys. No, they do not choose to initiate. There's too much turret damage to be had. They played that one smart. Toys as well, trying to keep himself safe here with Little Balls. They're going to have to watch this turret go down. The first turret of the game, 22 minutes in. I think that may be the longest time it's taken for our turrets to fall. Moscow 5 Ben Q and Taipei Assassins playing a very cautious semifinal matchup.
Yeah, they really do not want to overextend, because if someone does move in a little bit too far, there is so much chase potential on both sides. I mean, you look at the M5 lineup. If someone overextends, they've got Vayne with Blood Boil, who will chase that guy to the ends of the earth. You've got so much flow coming out from Nunu and from Yorick together that no one's going to get away if they overextend. Meanwhile, the same thing is there for TPA. Shen, Taric, Udyr, that person is going to get completely locked upon, just locked down really, and then everyone else is going to fire upon him, and Karthus and Kog'Maw will have a lot of damage on the front line. Both these teams are about just enough disruption, about having just enough disruption that the back line can just shred people down. So you're seeing more ganks than turret pushes, because turret pushes can be countered with ganks. They kind of they have more of those questions answered and can kind of push through a little bit more safely.
So Freak, let's take a look at these builds. We do see that Stanley is going for possible late game Frozen Mallet, but switched over to go for that Wit's End to stop the damage coming in from Eve. Usually you'll see that tanky top laner take the role of, as I just said, the tank, but we look over to Darian's side. He's gone for Triforce. Nobody on their team is really building to be that single tank. Is their amount of power really allowing them? But Alex, he's coming in huge right here on the top turret. It has been prepped to be taken down, but his focus is only Stanley coming up with the kill and able to make it out. 8-3. Alex again providing for himself.
And just over and over, he's got a safe lane, just turns it around to gold.
Here comes the absolute zero. Big damage on Mistake. It procs. Another shot could come in. He might leave this one to Diamond. Mistake is not the focus anymore. Little Balls gets taken down as he tries to come in. Darian picking that one up. And again, they'll get another one. It's going to be Mistake as well. Here comes Toys. Toys could get dropped. The heal coming out. If he can turn and fire, they may be able to stop it, but there's no mana. It's only going to be Toys having his way with bottom lane now. So 4 for 1. Alex stays alive.
He's just having a field day here, constantly pushing through on this map. They're making a lot of difficulties here. Alex is not getting shut down. He rushed that Deathfire Grass. He used it to great effect, picking up kills on Toys, I think twice in a row now, just kind of soloing him out in that lane and making a lot of pressure happen overall, and he's been able to roam. He's been able to show up to those fights. The kills at bottom lane where they picked up Mistake and put some pressure on the turret right after. The pressure of that top lane, diving Stanley, pretty tanky Shen under his turret, and it's interesting because that's like the one downside you would expect to see from Shen going double gold per 10 is he would have a bit of a weak mid game as he waits for that gold to kick in, and just would you know it, Alex shows up and capitalizes on that disadvantage. We're seeing a complete repeat of his first Evelynn game, I should say, and just picking up kill after kill on the opposition.
And a huge item coming out from Darian here. Actually just picked up his Guardian Angel. Always focusing his ult onto somebody else now. Doesn't even have to worry about himself. Is really taking that top lane. 209 minion kills to 137. And as I said before, Freak, he's had such a good lane, he's not even needing to build the HP for that lane. You can see, as we were saying and poking at before, Shen having to go for Wit's End for the magic mitigation, as well as that phase to build him the frozen mallet later for that health. What's the advantage of just having Darien not have to do that? It's always damage coming from that lane.
It's interesting because I guess, because he got this early kill, to be able to push forward, rushing that Trinity Force allowed him to really be a huge menace overall in battles. It let him out-duel Stanley, pretty much. It let him to kind of stop counter pushes.
See the wall of pain going down, and you can see the confidence coming from Moscow 5. They are waltzing through this fight right now. TPA Assassins with Darien on the outside. 4v1 right now. Darien taking all the hits. The Guardian Angel not even popped. We see Alex Ace going into the middle of the fight. Mistake could go down here. He will fall to Genja. We see coming up huge. Vivi onto Alex. That area of effect damage not going to be coming out for them anymore, and they are forced out of this fight. TPA using the turret to their advantage here. A good kill coming out from Darien as he takes down Little Balls, but the chase is on. BB does have that blue buff. He just decides to turn, though, as both teams just go in an all-out fight regardless of the area around them or the situation of the turret.
This is one thing that M5 is best at overall, is they are so supremely good at getting in a fight just long enough. If you actually just sat there watching Darien the entire time, and it's like, yes, I'm in the front line, fight me, I'm Guardian Angel Yorick, fight me, I dare you, keep, go for it. Pop the Guardian Angel, don't mind if I do, fight me, do all the damage, haha, we killed your carries, and then got low enough and just walked right out. His Guardian Angel is going to recharge over time. That cooldown's going to come back up. I think he might, and he had the self-control to say, yes, I will happily lose my Guardian Angel. You will tunnel vision me, and you will kill the very tanky Yorick. Next fight, I won't be quite as reckless. I'll get down to 10%, and I'll walk out. I'll ult someone, I'll walk out. It won't be a big deal. No big worries here from Darien. He's going to have that kind of gameplay where he's going to be very comfortable in his own skin, knows that there's no surprises really in store, right? No one's going to pick him out of nowhere. He knows the kind of damage BB's putting out. He knows how much damage Kog'Maw can deal. He knows what toys can deal. He knows, yeah, okay, you've got Requiem, that's nice, but then no one else is going to chase him out. So he can walk out of those fights so securely and just tank damage. And because he has Trinity Force, because he has those duels, he will actually be a pretty reasonable damage threat. By picking up that Triforce, it gives him just enough presence to say, yes, here's the damage output that you actually care about. If I go for a squishy, he'll actually take damage. You must actually deal with me, even though you don't want to. Even though I'm Guardian Angel Yorick, you must deal with me. You must focus me and push me out.
Yeah, Freak, that's something actually we talked about with Dan Din earlier, and how Moscow 5 Ben Q approaches fights. They leave a few that can take the area of effect cooldowns away, causing the other team to only have pinpoint focus attacks. That's when they go in. They leave a few people to take away some area of effect. Another few, they go into the fight. We saw that happen. You just explained. Darien, I'll take all the damage. Alex Ish flashed right into the fight. Both of those were wasting so many cooldowns while staying alive and able to trade back. This has brought them now 13-6. They have an over 10,000 gold lead just about, and it's going to be 28 minutes into the matchup. This spells Baron.
And M5 going to make a good move for this. I think they're more trying to bait a battle out here. They were trying to sneak it because they only sent 3 members there. They wanted to try to put some damage in. They had ward coverage. They did get back out pretty safely. But Alex on the flank.
Alex is coming in from behind. This is what we said he would do. He goes away from toys. You can see him destroying all the cooldowns. They've separated from the fight. Genja as well, or Vivi rather. Vivi trying to come in with that passive. The Requiem goes down, and it's not going to be enough damage. Genja more than happy to stay in the fight. Fires down on Little Balls. Mistake is in his eyes next. Gets the double kill, the triple kill. No, Alex is picking up Shen, and they're going to have an open turret for that first inhibitor in mid, but it looks like they're making a straight beeline for Baron.
That is the right play. Once again, they had simply separated the champions perfectly. You saw Diamond kind of go in and out against Toys and Karthus, and it simply kind of required him to stand there out of range of anyone else. It was just perfect positioning. It's a free push onto Baron, of course. There's no one else alive. They don't need to wait around for Darien to revive. It's not that big of a deal. They'll simply pick up the buff, pick up the golden experience, walk themselves back out very safely. They've got time to recall. Not a big deal. This replay is coming out. Let's see exactly what went down. Now watch Diamond. He comes in, knocks up Toys, walks back out. Toys cannot do anything in this fight. He's simply unable to do much damage. Finally gets shut down. Still not in range of anyone. Now watch Darien at the bottom. Genja. Genja's got no one to focus him. Easy kill on Little Balls. No one there to touch Vayne. Walks up. Mistake. Not a problem. Stanley, the last one alive on Shen. They focus the targets. And they focus the carries properly. BB went down first. Toys went down second. Low Balls went down third, and then Mistaken Stanley the Tanks went down last. They had exact perfect target prioritization. Alex flanked around the back, bursted Toys, prevented Toys from getting himself in the middle of the fray, and Genja, playing his champion right, said, yes, if I'm stuck near a Karthus, it will suck, so I won't be anywhere near Karthus, thank you very much. We'll kill BB, I'll come from around the side, you guys do with Karthus, I'll throw things on the other side of the map.
Team Guardian Angel now coming into play for M5 BenQ. They are starting to sport those around. It looks like Diamond is trying to get his up there quite soon as well. He does have the chain vest. They have pushed TPA back into their base. Moscow 5 now controls the team fights within this game. Genja, Gosu Pepper, and Diamond still holding that Baron buff. Very strong in their own rights with Darien on the front side. The Guardian Angel just about to come back up for him in about 5 seconds. This is why he's pushing the turret so hard. If it comes back in this fight, it's going to be huge. There's so much focus on him, and they're not going to see it come back up. BB going down, has the cleanse out of this one. Toys is just standing there doing so much damage. It doesn't look like the focus is that right for Moscow 5, but they're avoiding all the damage that they need to. An ace coming out for them, a triple kill coming out for Genja. And it looks like they may be able to push on to the Nexus turrets in this one. They have a lot of tank behind their champions. Diamond and Gosu on the front. The first Nexus turret goes down 23-7, 31 minutes into the game. That's all Moscow 5 needed for game 1 as they take it from TPA.
Wow, what a perfect play right there. That was amazing. M5 BenQ, the assassin composition did what it was supposed to do. It exactly did what they wanted. And this, you know, it worked out better than I thought it would. And in retrospect, of course it makes sense. You look at what Diamond did on Xin Zhao. Now, this was a champion with this comp that was on Darien before. And Darien, when he was top lane of Xin Zhao, had a bad start, went Sunfire Cape, you know, tried to be a tank and just sort of survive for the team. Right. And Alex had the gold. Alex, he had the Deathfire Grasp, he put all the damage down, he was there to shut down Kog'Maw. Well, you had the same kind of situation, really, where you had, you know, a decent game from Diamond, 2-0 and 15. He got some gold, not super farmed, but again, if you have tank Xin Zhao, and he did enough damage, you know, low gold Xin Zhao really has the same damage because you didn't buy damage items the first time, so he actually performed the exact same role. Jumped in there, pressed Crescent Sweep, got some armor and MR for pressing that button, dealing a lot of damage, and just went through and tried to focus down on Kog. And Alex, again, a similarly rough start to his early game, got a lot of damage taken to him, you know, very, very rough start, but still pick up Deathfire Grasp, still dominant through the mid game, still a stellar performance going 5-1 and 10, performed the exact same role. I made sure I watched Kog'Maw in that last fight, and BB, he didn't make any mistakes. He was in the back line, he hit who he could, but the front line of
jumped super hard.
Yorick, like Diamond super farmed, you know, in the end, or at least super tanky. Gosu Pepper on Nunu, like, what's he going to focus? There's nothing there to even attack. Even a Guardian Angel was there on Evelynn. Like, there's nothing for him to kill. He's that champion. Otherwise, though, I think they're happy with everything else. I think they have the tools that can kill off Vayne. I think they're okay with Nunu, or will first pick Nunu, not have a big deal. They might actually kill off Yorick, but that's the only other ban I could see them going as an adaptation. I think everything else was not too terrifying for them in the matchup so far.
We'll have to see what they do. That Jayce gets banned out as well. Very hard champion to gank. TPA is very good at being able to get out of their lanes. Very slippery. Sona goes out as well. So we said don't try to ban them out, but it looks like they're trying to poke at some of the compositions that would be created by these champions.
Yeah, M5, that last ban on Nunu was a reaction to the Sona ban because I think they were really thinking about, you know, M5 seems to really prioritize first picking that support. You saw them first pick Nunu last game. They're really trying to set themselves up for really strong lanes there and left everything else out there. And so that, you know, that makes a lot of sense. They're trying to give themselves some really good presence overall in that matchup. But, you know, dropping out that final support, you know, Zyra's, of course, still available there. And it looks like they're going to grab Diamond up there onto Udyr. Now, he was Xin Zhao last time. It fit the composition pretty well. This time, they're saying, you know what? Lee Sin's dropped out. They ran Udyr against SK Gaming very successfully in the European regional. So, of course, no screener to that champion. Might just bring that back out again.
Have to see what they do. TPA going with somewhat of a safe strategy / will be able to fight for quite some time. That Orianna always giving a team quite a bit of utility and movement in a fight to get in or out. Looks like they did like the Yorick pick last time into that Guardian Angel. Makes him one of the most formidable champions to be messing with the double comeback to life. They do lock in the Kog'Maw. They're looking for that late game damage again, Freak, and they're still waiting for that Darien lock-in.
That makes a lot of sense. Once they started looking at Yorick, I was like, you know, when you see an Orianna in there, Orianna always screams protect the X.
Yeah,
she's an amazingly dominant, you know, mid lane mage, but transitions into a very, very powerful support by the end. And it, of course, still has a damage output, but is really good at keeping someone alive. There's a lot of disruption there, some shields, things like that. And as soon as you see Orianna, you've got to start thinking about champions like Kog'Maw or Vayne who are going to really scale throughout that match and require protection, but if they're protected, kill people really, really hard. When M5 looked at Yorick, I was like, well, Yorick is another protect the X champion. Yorick, in fact, revives X and makes Kog'Maw or Vayne come back to life and keep dominating. Now, Genja was never really killed in that last match, so it didn't matter too much, but you always have that for the backup option and can be really, really powerful. So they've both denied Kog'Maw and given themselves a synergy with Kog'Maw. This had to have been a champion-select adaptation from M5 to pick it so early.
We're seeing some champions we have seen recently and some solo queue play as well. And we're going to see it locked in actually as Taric still staying on the cold side. Toys picking up Taric for his team. Little Balls goes with a safe support jungler Maokai looking to really set up the ganks instead of getting for himself or his lanes.
I don't actually like these picks here from TPA going Maokai, Taric. I would have really liked to see something like Nocturne Leona or Shyvana, something like that. You know, Shyvana Orianna, an amazing combo as well to open up because they already know they're against a crazy fearsome backline with Yorick Kog. Now maybe they're trying to like withstand Yorick clone plus Kog'Maw damage output with Maokai, and it can make sense, right? If you have, you know, Taric up there with the Shadow Aura, 30 armor to nearby teammates, Maokai's Vengeful Maelstrom minus 20% damage as long as you're standing in the area, Orianna's Ball grants a shield and bonus armor MR, so maybe they're trying to just like tank through the Yorick ultimate and tank through Kog'Maw, but that means they've got to really be able to sit there in a group and not worry about the rest of that damage output. That's worrisome because who's going to be able to damage on the backline here for TPA instead of going for something assassin-based? So it's a little bit risky, but you know, we'll see what happens here. M5 only their support left to pick, and they've grabbed Zilean you know, really early on, and that's without a hyper-scaling and a hyper-carry top laner.
Yeah, I feel like TPA is really building for the team fights here. Every one of those champions that they have is going to be able to assist in that team fight. The Shatter, the Command Shockwave, as well as Little Ball's ult, so that's going to be huge for them. Alex Ish going for that Zilean once again. We did see him play this in the tournament. This is really also a protect the Cog. They can get him in and out, or well, start with Genja on the initiation, depending on who they choose as well, or Gosu. We'll have to see. Yeah, Vayne being picked out, as well as Mistake holding on that top laner right now. He will be going on to Taric, but he's going to be choosing out that Nidalee.
And yeah, there is that support Zyra here. So this is really, it's really, really crazy because you've actually got both team comps going protect the carry. You've got Type A Assassins, you've got Stanley on Nidalee. It's a heal and an attack speed buff. Taric, a decent enough front line. Maokai, a front line. Orianna able to provide shield and durability. And it's just like, guys, let's all just put our cards, let's put our eggs in a BB's basket. Let's give him a nice big backpack. Let's ride in that and hope he can carry us to victory. Because this is really just a team that says, good luck, BB. We're relying on you. And it's really kind of the same thing here for M5 Ben Q because they didn't go for like, and normally when we see Zilean from Alex Ish, it's because they have Jax or they have Olaf on that lineup where, you know, yeah, they've got Genja in the back line being awesome as that carry, but they've got a big frontline tank, you know, running in with bonus movement speed, running in with that revive and just chopping someone to bits. They don't have that. That Udyr's going to be useful. He's going to be disruptive, but it's jungle Udyr. He's not going to have crazy farm and be a super beast. And it's Yorick. We saw Yorick last time. Did not need help to be tanky. He just went Guardian Angel, went Trinity Force, was beefy in the front line, didn't require anything special. They don't have reckless aggressors here on M5. They've got just a front line that says don't walk past us and Kog'Maw in the background killing people. And if he does go down and die, they do have Zilean to revive him. So both these teams going a little bit light on damage and saying, okay, BB, okay, Genja, it's on you.
Not that I'm, you know, I don't know very much for Stanley's top Nidalee play, but I feel like they've forced themselves into a composition that wants to use everything from their champions. And if they don't get that right on Taipei's side, you know, if Nidalee can't get in there, yeah, she's going to want to be able to throw heals on Vayne, get that attack speed up, get other things happening, get that shield. So I think if those don't correlate for them within this matchup, they're going to find themselves coming up short. A lot of their initiations last game on Moscow 5 that was 100% ready, that Stand United Requiem attack bottom was an amazing engage by Taipei Assassins and would have taken 99% of any professional player off guard. But Moscow 5 on their game is ready for these little things that Taipei Assassins is going to have to do to really get their composition to come to fruition.
Yeah, so here we are. The game is started. Let's get ready for Game 2 of these semifinals. This is do or die for Taipei Assassins. You see them on your screen. They're down 0-1. The Galen Center getting prepared for the World Finals to take place on Saturday. Moscow 5 Ben Q. They are one game away from qualifying themselves for that grand final. It's 1-0 in this best of 3. They are winning in this matchup. M5 wants this. TPA needs this to stay alive.
Getting that sapling pull. There's going to be a little bit of an invasion here as they saw Darien leaving the bush. They're being very quick on this as well. They have given up the fact that they are now in the jungle. And we're going to see a rotation here that top side. Moscow 5 is going to start going after the other blue as well. TPA is going back though. Freak, this could completely be a strategy where they push that in there and then they're going to be waiting for this fight. However, they don't know how many members are on the other side, so they're really walking into danger here.
They got spotted. I mean, their opening play was really cool. Use saplings, use traps, put some wards down. Make sure you keep track of the opposition. They know their level 1 is so much stronger. And they've got the Sona and the Gosu Pepper.
Gosu not looking good, and this may be the first blood coming out, and BB comes up strong. A full assist to the rest of the team.
He's not even going to bother casting the passive. Finally deals, shoots it out at the end. No kill there. Great moves by TP. I'm surprised they picked that up, though, because they got spotted by Zilean on the way through mid. Gosu should have known they were coming across right there, but still a great initiation coming out overall. And, I'm looking at this roster, and yeah, it took like one flash to make that happen. I mean, really good opening. TPA off in the driver's seat. They did get that 400 gold to BB, but the one thing to remember is he has not spent that gold yet. BB does not have that gold in his he has the gold in his pockets, but not on his character. So that level 1 fight, that top lane's still going to be just the same as always.
Great farming help coming in. They're trying to get the junglers through as fast as possible. You do see the smite is down onto Diamond, and he holds his smite on Little Ball, so he's going to be looking to get around the jungle and get out quite quickly. With that assist, it's going to help him get those items that he needs to keep scaling, into this game. Looks like we do have boots pots going on to Gosu. He blew one of those as he went down, so that lane is going to be aggressive, but they're going to be looking for fast kills and then to get back out. Freak, they have no vision to be safe in that lane. 2 minutes and 30 seconds in, another invasion coming in here. The red buff dot, or the dot, is still there for Diamond. He can see that they're taking this because the skull is still on the map for him. He looks to go in. He will not be able to get it. It goes to Maokai, and they're going to be forced. No, actually, Little Balls, or he did get that, sorry. Diamond does pick up his red buff. They take out Mistake in this situation. Alex coming up with a kill for himself. Genja forcing himself into this fight, flashing over the wall. And BB rather could pick himself up a kill here. Beautiful shield coming from Orianna.
And that makes it 3-1 overall. These invasions so strong from TPA. We said they had a better level 1 team. They're happy to invade, and they're just pushing for it. I'm so actually surprised that M5 said, you know what, yeah, let's keep fighting you at level 1. Let's please put ourselves in these terrible situations where we're about to get picked off. And that was brutal overall. So much damage dealt back onto them. Poor Gosu Pepper still not even level 2. The rank 1 Stranglethorns is nice, but not putting out a lot of punishment overall. That was pretty risky. Opening for TPA so good.
Very scary BB now, 2-0-1 as Vayne this early in the game. Vayne is a late game carry, but will still put out the pain if given the chance to do so within these early levels. Only 4 minutes into the game, Gosu trying to throw out the harassment. They know they don't have too much control over that lane, as I said before, with the wards, so they're really trying to push these guys out of lane as much as possible. So if there is a gank, they're not affected by it as much. Zilean, Alex Ish playing the role for everybody on his team, and really everybody is assisting each other right now.
The one thing that M5 needs to do right here is to realize that BB has still not gotten back to lane to buy any items. So despite all of these kills, despite everything, at this second, he's on equal footing to Genja. I guess I'd call it the top lane. Those dual lanes there are identical right now as far as power is concerned. There's a little bit of experience in the lead, but that's about it. The golden items, it's a wash right there. And so M5 needs to hold them in lane as long as possible and keep Vayne from buying. The second she buys, she's dominant in lane.
These are where the words would come into play. Gosu could find himself out, but he calls the time in his head and says, he feels right for Little Balls. We've seen him around the jungle. I'm going to time this seedling and throw it in the bush. Really throwing Little Balls off there, but he still has a chance to come around the backside. You can see the cautious play. Mistake a little too aggressive there and really telegraphs this one in. No chance for an attack on that.
They can perfectly zone this lane. You look at the minion wave, and actually, it's now actually bigger on TPA's side, so it will push to the turret, and so M5 can kind of sit on their heels and wait. They won't lose too many minions if they just simply wait in the background and let it push to their turret. Because the wave is so much larger on the other side, you're not expecting to have your minions really pick off too much in that wave, and they'll be pretty safe overall.
Alex Ish getting a little harassment done to him, but Diamond procs perfectly there as he makes his way through the jungle. Really not what TPA needs. A huge attack onto BB out top. He pushes back Genja. Great mechanics to really push out the damage that's going to be coming at him in the fight. Stanley putting Gresham down bottom here. 3-1 in this matchup. And gold, like I said, going to Vayne. But Freak mentioned she has not fought yet, so the aggression in the lane can really be thwarted if Diamond finds himself top at the right time. A lot of mana being used here by Alex Ish. He's going to be thrown in, but Diamond's there once again. The 3v2 situation rather. Alex not in a good position, not level 6, and he will go down. Diamond cannot assist.
And that is, again, them putting the pressure on over and over and over again. And this is really, really good. Low balls with so much crowd control. And the beautiful thing was they pulled Mistake down to support mid once they sent BB to go back and recall and buy items. That Mistake says, you know what? I don't have too much money. I don't need to buy just yet. It's not that big of a deal. It's only 400 gold. While you go buy BB, I'm going to go support someone else on the map. Let's put a gank together. Let's go ahead and make this happen. Let's make that fight go down. And look at that, a beautiful start.
Oh, wow. They get Genjo right out. They are able to take him down. Mistake picking himself up a kill. BB kind of focusing back there. They may be able to get another kill. They forced a flash on Gosu. That's going to be quite big for them. This lane can now continuously be aggressive, Freak.
The mechanic there for TPA was really, really strong. After that first kill, notice that Mistake walked forward and made sure he pulled turret aggro. As soon as a turret hits a champion, it will stay on that champion until he leaves range, no matter what. No matter if someone swings at you, no matter whatever happens, until that guy dies or leaves range, it will stay on Mistake. And so he sat there and said, yes, hit me, hit me, hit me. He, you know, and Ghosty Pepper knew he had to flash to escape that because Vayne would have kept stutter stepping, walking over and swinging, walking and swinging, walking and swinging. He was 3 hits from getting the kill, forced the flash. At that point, there was too much pressure required. He got out.
Stanley going aggressive on Darien here. You can see the sustain coming into play a bit as they damage trade equally. You can see just how confident TPA Assassins is right now with a few of their purchases. Quick chalice buys going in both lanes of Stanley as well as Toys. The boots of mobility onto Maokai as well. Little Ball's trying to get these ganks to happen more often and get them to happen in favor of his teammates. He's been doing a great job. Right now he has 4 assists. And like I said at the beginning, Freak, when you grab Maokai, it's going to be to set those lanes up for the ganks. You're grabbing all the extra gold.
Exactly. It's very ironic that when you pick a tanky jungler like Maokai, they're actually called aggressive junglers because they show up for ganks and they fight champions a lot. And they transition into tanks late game. He's so happy to get that gold, of course, because it gets his gold generation items really quickly. And actually, instead of that, he's continuing to play aggressive. He's actually going boots of mobility early on instead and using that for further gank potential. Now to go through these builds some more, you're seeing kind of a sustained war there. Stanley going chalice. Uh-oh, here comes Simon.
Toys is on. They are going to lock him down. Command Shockwave comes out. They get a little bomb damage there. The blue buff is going to keep Toys on the aggressive. He is going to be able to throw out a few more auto attacks. Each one scaling with a bit more damage. The Ping's top lane is they have Taric off to the side of it. Stanley trying to heal himself up in that bottom lane bush. Continuously pushing that lane. 63 to 52. The matchup still in anybody's favor there. Nobody really has the upper hand. They both have pretty good regen going down for themselves right now. And you can see him really no mana still staying in that lane. Top lane still being addressed quite a bit as the junglers both leaving their red buffs right now. You could see a little bit aggression towards that top lane. The wards are down for both teams here as they start to really figure out the abilities are up. Everybody's starting to get their ultimates, Freak. The team fights are going to start to come to fruition a little bit here.
Yeah, I think, and then one big thing here for Stanley is he's actually got Summoner Teleport overall, so he'll be able to show up to those fights much more frequently. I think TPA definitely wants to keep moving in and put that pressure on because they, you know, they want to keep the aggression going. They've got enough of an advantage. They can actually keep pushing that advantage. Vayne is such a good duelist. We talked about that in the post-game to Game 1, where Vayne was able to go on and do whatever she wanted and just simply be that queen duelist. And so they want to keep putting her in fights where she can win. They want to keep putting Toys in those battles as well. He's got enough mana regen. He's got good enough cooldowns that he will keep putting pressure on the map as well. The overall team fight here, 10 minutes into the game, is just better for TPA. I think M5 would love to let this kind of sit down and, you know, just let turrets take a bit of damage and just let that, you know, fight equal out.
He's in a dangerous spot. He throws down the Chrono Shift. They're still attacking, and they allow him to go down. But there's a little bit of crowd control here still. Can they go for it? And they will. Drop him a second time with that Ignite on. Diamond trying to go for the kill, but Little Ball splashes out perfectly on top of the ward. The teleport comes in from Stanley, and it looks like they may continue to dive. The flash is forced out. So many summoner spells used in that fight, coming into 10 minutes in the game. But TPA grabbing an upper hand there.
And they're going to keep that pressure on. That Summoner Teleport being used, forcing the flash away from Diamond, and that severely limits Diamond's opening potentials. Look at who he could gank. trying to gank Nidalee, she can pounce away. He's trying to gank Orianna, she's got that command dissonance, and there's not enough crowd control from Alex Ish on Zilean to make her stop down either. He's got a gank for BB, he's got condemned. There is really no opening for Diamond without Flash. These solo lanes, or really every lane for TPA Assassins, is safe from Udyr's pressures. And so they're going to be happy to keep scaling through this game and keep putting pressure on their lanes. Look at the minion count differences. 93 to 59, 83 to 53, 86 to 74. Even Nidalee's winning her solo lane without any aggression from other sides.
You know, Freak, I gotta hand it to BB right now. He is connecting so many third silver bolts and just keeping Genji down in health. Always about 10% HP. Rolling into the turret to take one shot and back out. The mechanics of BB right now are completely winning that lane. Stanley definitively winning his bottom lane, but now allowing Darian to farm. We said, don't focus Darian top. We have to free up little balls. That's not where you want to be. Darian, very much like Wicked, can be beat the entire game and still come back to be a formidable opponent towards that late game. So I have to see what he can do now with his turret being the first to fall, Freak.
Well, it doesn't really help him very much with that turret down. Of course, Darian now has actually even more avenues of getting jumped upon. But the thing is, TPA, they don't really want to get Stanley fed. They don't really want to shut down Darian. So even though he's available, it's not really the best place to go.
TB dropping out a turret up top. A lot of focus from Moscow 5 as they know they're losing turrets. They get themselves golden experience to trade that one off after a 2-turret loss. We're going to be focusing towards mid here. The pings are going down. It actually comes from their own team. TPA is just saying, I think you guys are pretty safe up there. We got vision of Moscow 5 in mid. And you can see BB taking some extra shots. These guys are just really playing a calm game.
And this is really, you know, the kind of play that M5 needs to make, because, you know, they know that those outer turrets will go down regardless, because they know they've got absolutely no map control right now, and TPA will eventually kill those turrets regardless. So what they want to do is say, you know what, you'll kill them, I get it. While you're doing that, we're just going to set up dragon takes, because, you know, when you're down 4,000 gold, 4,000 gold means a lot when everyone's got like 10k. It's a very, very big margin, and absolutely TPA is very far ahead right now. But if everyone has 20,000 gold, or 30,000 gold, or 40,000 gold, then 4,000 gold means a lot less. And they want to reach that kind of situation. So, yes, they'll trade 1,000 gold for 1,000 gold. They'll, you know, kind of get in these fights that aren't champion versus champion. You know, they're going for dragon, the other team goes for a turret. They're going to farm somewhere, the other team farms somewhere. They're going to try to trade those sort of moot advantages and just kind of let the game push on forward. They're going to try to buy, you know, some time and push themselves through this matchup, because they've still got a pretty much impossible to kill Kog'Maw. There are no assassins really here on TPA Assassins. You're seeing a safe build from Stanley. He's got Wriggles and a Child. He's not like rushing Trinity Swords. He's not looking to chuck someone out with a Death Cap or go for against his Rage Blade. He's simply there to be a really annoying sort of force in the mid lane, or sorry, annoying force in his bottom lane, kind of mess with Darian, and just kind of toss heals to BB and let him scale. So it's really up to M5 to farm out their solos, get tanks in the way, and then let Genji get some gold.
So TPA Assassins super bringing out their suffocation strategy right here. If you guys want to rewatch this, tell your friends. This is exactly how it's done. Moscow 5, a definitive game last time. They really come out huge. Everything was crumbling in their favor. The kills from TPA, like we said, the Stand United and Requiem down bottom last game, those were all going in favor of Moscow 5, those little instances. TPA is creating all of these for themselves this game. They destroy top lane. They leave BB now to run. They destroy mid lane, and now suffocating that bottom lane because they knew Darian was going to be down there to farm a broken down turret. So these guys are completely controlling the map. Like Moscow 5 usually does, they get to a lane as soon as it's ready to be pushed. They don't give the other team time to rotate over, and we can see Moscow 5 right along the base of their own entrance, just running back and forth, trying to find where TPA is going to play cat and mouse.
And what's happening right here, though, is M5 is completely stagnating pushes on those secondary turrets. You know, like we just said, M5 knows their outer turrets will fall down, but they know that middle turrets are much harder to go for. And of course, as I say that, TPA is about to kill a secondary turret here. But you saw them kind of get forced. There we go. Yeah, so they push them back, right? These secondary turrets are hard to kill. They're deep enemy territory. It's much easier to bring reinforcements around. It's very hard to take them out without getting pressured. And so you're seeing that over and over, where M5 is able to defend this kind of situation. Now TPA is harassing. They're putting some damage down, but they're not killing them off. And while this is happening, you can just see at this top lane, Genji is just left alone, farming and farming and farming and trying to catch up in this game. Now, certainly nowhere near the kind of gold that Vayne has on BB, but again, their strategy is protect the X, protect the Kog'Maw, and get him to late game, and when he finally reaches that, that's where M5 is going to shine. They just need to wait another 10 minutes.
3 members of Moscow 5 with 129 minions, actually. All of them the highest in the game right now as they tie each other for that score. Really, nobody's trying to farm it out. Finally, BB breaking that one down, goes up to 100 and plus 30. 6-1 at 15 minutes into the game. 22,000 to 17,000 gold. We can just see who has accrued the most, and that goes to 56,000 on BB. Vayne being very strong to dazzle onto Darien, and they're really just trying to get shots onto this turret. Yeah, now firing onto Darien. Freak, the pressure is here in each lane, and they're really spreading themselves thin, but making it work.
This is exactly what TPA needs to do, is again, they know their mid game is so much stronger, they will just keep pushing for turrets. This is exactly what they want, and you'll see them keep cycling through. And they've sent Nidalee and Orianna as the solos because they're kind of the most safe. They've got the most mobility, they can heal themselves, they can pounce away or crowd control the opponents. They're going to keep sitting in those situations. Lowball's actually here to bait a counter engage, sitting in that rush for a little while, trying to see if they would jump on BB and mistake, but that's not going to be the case. They're just simply pushing for turrets as hard as possible over and over and over. And again, because M5 wants to stall, TPA wants to close this out. They will simply, no matter how hard it is to do, they are just going to keep pushing because that's the only thing they've got left to do.
Now, Freak, coming into this portion of the game, however, we see that Moscow 5 is forced out of a lot of these fights. It seems in or out of the jungle, TPA is bringing a stronger team right now.
And this is because a lot of it is honestly gold-based, that their level 1 team is strong. This is kind of what happens when you bring an early game focused team, and like you'll really have with Taric, Maokai and such, and you're not so much with Yorick, who's got really terrible at level 1, is they just want to go for pressure early on, make those fights happen, and they actually made those fights happen. That's the really thing for an early game team, is you've got to actually fight to do it.
Stanley very low on mana, initiating too hard here. His team is really split between left and right. Toys taking a bit of damage there, but they get the damage onto Gosu and Alex. They've done a great job at just taking those cooldowns. Stanley was really caught out of position there, but Moscow 5 knew they didn't have the engage. TPA was forced to run back and forth and make sure he could get out alive. You see Alex each running away, blinking as Genja farms that bottom lane. It's still 154 minions for BB to 122 for Genja. Very much different game for the AD carry here, and this is absolutely going to have to be a game where Moscow 5 adapts to the carry.
Yeah, and they've got to just shut down BB, absolutely. It's going to be hard to do it, but that's what they've got to go for here. And you're just going to see it be so difficult because TPA are going to be reserved. They're going to be smart about their movements. You're seeing Stanley once again running to that top lane. Now, they don't have a Shen like they had, but they've got a Summoner Teleport, which is just as good. He will shove around that top lane, be very hard to catch with Pounce, with Wriggles, putting extra wards down to make sure he's not watched, and he's just really, really controlling the sort of map movements of his opponents. He's going to get nice and farmed. He's going to keep his gold going up. M5 completely controlling Dragons here. This is how they're going to keep their gold up in this game as they try to stall it out and push forward. But you're just going to see constant pressure. These turrets still able to fall. They're finally going to look for their 6th here as Stanley continues to shove this top lane. And now he's finally transitioning into an actual fighter. He's got that Phage, the Trinity Force finally coming up next. You know, he went for Chalice Wriggles just to be a sustained monster and to really mess with any counter pushes here. But that's going to be the gameplay, is just pushes. You know, BB's going to pick up gold on the back of that. That even though they've been splitting up and pushing constantly, he's still up there in minions. But I mean, look at the gap now. It's 132 to 158. Genja is catching up. That's exactly what M5 wanted, is Genja. He's got to get closer and closer on those items. He's got Phantom Dancer, but he needs Zerk, he needs Infinity Edge.
Going after Alex. He does not have his ultimate up. Stanley able to take him down, but this is going to be the fight between Alex and Stanley and Diamond, rather. Too much speed coming from Nidalee, the escape artist in that Cougar form. And we're going to have to see if they go for this now. TPA trying to force down onto the Baron. It looks like it will be. There's Darien just on the other side, about to throw a ghoul over, but it's not going to be enough. Do they pursue him? No. They looked like they were going to be the side of the wall for another twisted advance attack. Stanley finds no mana for him, though, but it's not going to be any cost for him in that form. Continues the pressure on, gets as much as he can, and really, Freak, what they're doing right now is just keeping Moscow 5 out of their lanes, allowing a little bit of push here, and great job by Stanley for not allowing Darien to back.
And this is one of the most difficult things to do, is to actually close a game out. They know there is a team that's trying to stall. They know Genja is just trying to get gold, and they're tooth and nail defending their secondary turrets, because they know as turrets fall, TPA will still scale ahead. No matter how much that Kog'Maw farms, they know if every turret is 150 gold to everyone on the team, they know that Dragon's 190, Baron's 250. If they can keep picking up those margins, they will keep scaling themselves forward. They will absolutely, push themselves farther and farther ahead, and so they're trying to keep these advantages together. And with no one getting caught out too much on M5, they're stopping those pushes. But Stanley making a big play, actually pushes out Alex Ish, actually makes a 5-on-4 happen, and then baits the rest of the team top lane. TPA have actually created openings on the map. They've finally given themselves these windows to take major advantages and push on through more.
Oh, Genja taking so much damage from Stanley, but he's able to trade it back here. He may have enough mana to get this. That W is still on. Throws out the living artillery, but here goes Baby. Slams him against the wall. The Yorick ulti is on, so he will come back to life, but he's instantly brought back down again. Trying to stay in this fight. It is going to be Diamond Procs going down. A huge initiation for BB, and he finally falls. The shutdown going to Darian in this fight. Alex Ish's chrono shift is down. Darian there to keep that pressure on. Gosu can lock them down into the turret. Stanley gets out of that, and it's just huge pressure from TPA Assassins right now. Darian is, however, able to clean up a few kills for his team. It's now 3-3, or 4-3 now. Finally, the last auto attack and double kill for Toys. The ace on the Moscow 5.
He almost killed Lil Boss by running a freaking bomb into him. But they did survive that one overall. This turret low enough they could backdoor it. Toys, yep, there's the shield. Says Lil Boss, come on, dude, thank you. He almost died to the turret as a result there. TPA, flawless team fights. And actually, M5, they did almost pull that one back. Genja got caught out. He took a lot of damage, but they kind of collapsed into that fight really, really well. They nearly turned that one around, but that fight was really carried on the back of the gigantic gold lead that TPA Assassins built for themselves. M5's power is always team fights. Let's watch that last fight with player audio.
Nice， 这差一点，
好可惜哦。
啊，可以，慢慢来，慢慢来， Zilean 有在进来了。
Absolutely amazing. You can see Mistake on the front line of those calls right there with the rest of his team. Once it got a little hectic, but Mistake took right back over. We see Alex doing that for Moscow 5 in these fights.
Yeah, you're seeing that, both these teams, and you can see just how good they are at team fighting, is they have that one caller who's making the play, saying, here's what we're focusing, here's how we're moving, this is the focus here. And again, I want to reiterate, I've heard so many teams on their comms just incredibly hectic, everyone barking out orders. That one captain there making the calls. I mean, this is a looking like a game 3 coming up in the semifinals. Honestly, now we're at the 4 best teams in the world. Neither of these teams had lost a map up until this point here in this tournament. Looks like they're going to trade 1-1 as this game moves forward. And I mean, these are just top caliber teams, and they're relying on that one captain to make those plays. And it's just interesting to see how do top teams differ? M5, amazing team fighting. TPA here, clearly amazing team fighting and great plays as well. And it's that captain role that seems to be a really big difference.
Freak, with how the game went last time, Moscow 5 was so in the driver's seat. I pointed out that, TPA Assassins kind of had a composition that relied a lot on itself. But each lane fended for itself. That composition of reliance is totally out the window. They can all do what they want, and their team composition has become that much stronger, allowing BB to run by himself. He can pretty much 1v3 any situation against this team. There's not enough crowd control to just lock him down. Those dodges of him and his mechanics this game have been paying dividends for his team. Right now, 3-1-4, 5-0-5 coming in from Toys in mid. Toys, another key to victory. Get him fed and play around his game and strategy, and has just been huge for these guys. And whenever Stanley gets in trouble, we saw him going into that last fight, really tanky enough to take on the cooldowns for the fight. TPA has just turned this one into their favor, now dictating these fights and on the front step of Moscow 5 space. Looks like they're going to back off here. Dragon should be coming up quite soon. That was about 17 minutes that it went down. 12-4 here. They are in an 8,000 gold lead right now for TPA Assassins.
The good thing here for TPA is that they've got 2 healers on the roster. They've got Taric and Nidalee, both of whom will keep the health bars sustained from that team. You've got 3 points in the heal of Taric. You've got, I'm going to guess 5. You got 5 points in the heal for Nidalee as well. So they've got a decent amount of sustain here, plus the Chalice there on Nidalee, giving her some nice mana regeneration. I mean, this roster is about sieging. And when you consider one of the biggest long-range nukes is going to be Time Bomb, it's very easy for Toys and Orianna to shield that damage output as well. Honestly, TPA, as long as they've got the mana for it, are going to be near immune to long-range harass. And that's really the only tool M5 has. Because what M5 needs to do is try to swipe out minion waves, which would be very difficult. They don't have Anivia or Karthus or Caitlyn or things like that that'll sweep waves out really, really easily. So they're really relying on kind of getting into the fight, taking a bit of flack as they do it, and trying to harass back TPA. But as TPA Assassins heals themselves back up, they're just going to put themselves over and over again in these long-range sort of siege situations where they're just at odds, and they're going to take some damage, and they're going to hope to heal it back. Stanley now with the Golem buff is a huge deal here. He's going to have a lot more presence in those fights.
So Darian, yeah, forced to build a little bit differently this game. We saw him go straight Triforce into that Guardian Angel. Now really not building himself tank either. Where are they going to find that front line for themselves to come from, Freak? Stanley is getting quite tanky, and they're really able to just come into these fights a lot stronger.
And the difficulty here is that, they're going to hopefully rely on Diamond to be a tank, but, with him going Manamune into a Trinity Force here, they don't have that front line. You heard Dan talk about the fact that the team needed a Frozen Heart, and Randall's Omen was in that mix as well onto Olaf in WE versus CLG. They need, very directly, a Frozen Heart in this matchup. They need that to help shut down BB on Vayne. No one else, except for Toys, is a gigantic damage threat. Stanley, very utility-based. He added a Spirit Visage there just to be a bigger tank. He's got Mercury Treads overall. He's honestly just a mobile, low cooldown tank, trying to be as disruptive as possible and toss heals onto his team.
It looks like he may be able to get out of this one as he just gets into that bush. That passive going to give him some movement speed, and you can see him turning around, knowing the aggression. TPA now going on to the Baron. It looks like they will be able to grab this one down. Will be nice for them. They wait on it, though. If they can get some damage, it will stop the Baron from healing. They keep that tick in. They're just waiting for them to come out. They're really baiting this fight out. They know that M5 is too spread out. Coming in from the side, it's going to be Diamond. He tries to steal it on Udyr, and he's not going to make it out alive. BB takes him down 13-4. A huge push by TPA coming up.
And that was really smart how they played that one out, because they kept trying to bait Diamond into flash over the wall. They did not want to risk that smite. You saw, again, with the WE-CLG match, where they had control over Baron, they knew they'd probably get it, but Snoopy was afraid of getting out-smited. And they went, okay, we'll push it. Okay, hold on. All right, now Kog'Maw got vision. Okay, but wards are swept. Okay, go back in. And they bursted it down at the last second. You saw Diamond's flash come in after Baron was killed, because they just psyched him out enough to get full control.
Freak. Oh my god, coming in so big. Genja, Chrono Shift down, but they continue to fight him. Genja will come back up, but he's going to be obliterated once more. No, he makes it out towards the top side. We do see that Darian falls. Genja forced away from and then back towards his turret. A double kill coming in. Huge game for BB here as he comes in to finish off this one with his team, focusing down onto Diamond, but it should be the inhibitor. They're going to gain some huge ground here as they turn Moscow 5's base into shambles. Moscow 5 not exactly flustered, but I think this is the first time we have seen them not be able to answer a strategy. The suffocation from TPA Assassins just too much. Huge damage coming from that Orianna shockwave, but she is forced to bring it back. No, yes, coming out huge. Toys just back down to his team, and it's going to be that first Nexus turret, the second Nexus turret, the Nexus now, a game 3, Moscow 5 forced to defend on the fountain, and it's going to be a huge matchup.
Jungler's in, okay, their support is in, and they've finally shown, if this is the Kog'Maw pickup, it is going to be not only a crazy aggressive jungler who will make a lot of plays and often steal some buffs and steal some gold, but they've said, yes, Nunu Kog'Maw is our bottom lane. It's late game. It's scary. Come at me, bro. And honestly, with Sona in this mix, I think this is pretty okay for TPA, honestly, because I think Sona's a good matchup against Nunu because she can poke at him from out of Ice Blast range. If they do grab, and the insta-lock there on Ezreal, this is the lane I expected to see. Sona Ezreal is very long range. It's a lot of poke, and there is no sustain here for M5 BenQ. Nunu and Kog'Maw here are going to be kind of left to absorb damage and have very few openings to counterattack back. Even if they do counterattack, even with Blood Boil and Ice Blast, I still think Essence Flux wins that matchup, and that Sona Ezreal are still going to win a 2-on-2 fight. So it's going to be on the junglers here, because the general gameplay here, I expect TPA's dual lane, if they 2-on-2 at all, to win that matchup. On the flip side, though, if one jungler does better than the other, you'll see that matchup flip. As far as an equal trade goes, I'd like that for TPA Assassins. And they've now, this looks very similar to a prior strategy where they've run Anivia with Mundo together. There is a lot of area control here.
Yeah, they're just looking to completely disperse that fight. Anivia's ultimate, great at disengaging and make a team split, and then you lock them down with that Mundo and Ezreal as well. You have the Sona for disengage or engage if they want, but like you said, that lane matchup could favor the bottom for TPA. You see that Genja waiting to pick here, as well as Gosu. They really only have that Nunu coming in for Gosu as well as Kog'Maw for Genja. So they're picking, obviously, for other champions on this. They're looking to counter somewhat here. They have a little bit of time left, and what they're looking at is really to be able to dodge and get back into a fight. The reinitiation after the cooldowns have been wasted, really. Dodging that crescendo, getting out of range of BB, as he's just been amazing in his positioning this entire matchup. It looks like they find safety in Yorick as well as Shyvana, which have been a really big mainstay since the first time we've seen Moscow 5 in offline play.
Yeah, this makes a lot of really good openings here for M5 BenQ. They've got, once again, the Protect the Kog'Maw composition is coming through. They've grabbed Yorick to clone that and make him really, really powerful. TPA, again, actually running Nidalee as a counter lane here to Yorick, really wanting to shut him down. Now, I don't think she made any really major plays on Darien early on. They did keep him locked up in his lane.
Yeah, they kept him there.
It kept
Good
getting him
enough.
roaming because he had that triple kill in game 1 that really turned the game around. But I didn't really see Stanley doing anything all that different otherwise. He's going to be there split pushing and setting up a lot of moves for his team, but without that crazy Vayne scaling, without the crazy Orianna scaling, I don't know, it feels like a very different composition here where, you know, I don't like TPA playing split push. I don't like TPA playing for the late game because they've got Nunu Kog'Maw with Gragas there to completely split up the team. If Mundo or Nidalee tries to dive in, Explosive Cast will shove back the back line. It will push Nidalee even farther into the group, and then she'll just get eviscerated right here by a blood-boiled Kog. And I don't think Mundo's got enough presence there to follow that up and make that a kill. M5, I think they've got all the champions they need to make this a really, really powerful Game 3. Now, as far as level 1 power is concerned, TPA is pretty strong. Ezreal, Anivia, Dr. Mundo, Sona, all these guys are great early on. But I think TPA's got to make something in the first 10 minutes or it's going to start really running away from them.
I got to ask, you know, Diamond Prox, amazing on Shyvana, and it's not a necessity, but what is your feeling about the lack of hard crowd control for that Shyvana jungle?
It's not too bad overall, and he's actually not even bringing exhaust in, so he's not looking for all that much gank power. And when you look at really his lanes, you don't really need to gank for Nunu. I mean, they have some gank presence, they have slows, they have damage, but like, you don't really care. Gragas doesn't need ganks, he can just escape. You never really want to gank for a Yorick, because he doesn't contribute much to that gank either. They're looking at Diamond, I think, to just be hyper-aggressive and deny jungle. And the problem is, though, he's against Dr. Mundo, who's going to be really good in the jungle and get the farm anyway. You know, the Shyvana pick I don't love a whole lot. But you can at least use the Dragon's Descent to push back aggressors. They've got pushback from Gragas, pushback from Shyvana, and that might be all it's for. Is, you know, it's one of the jungles he's comfortable on. It's a fast clearer. You know, she does a lot of damage overall. So if something does dive in, she can support that. I don't expect her to run in and try to kill Ezreal. I expect her to run in and kill not Shyvana, but to kill Nidalee. Maybe try to kill Dr. Mundo and kind of sit on the front line with Darien. And they'll just kind of all coalesce around Genja and have that nice little bubble there. And then it's fine. You don't need crowd control. You just need damage, and that's acceptable really overall, especially when you've got Ice Blast, Absolute Zero, Explosive Cast, Body Slam, things like that to keep them in place. Then yeah, just, you know, sit in the front line, be there, and just let Kog'Maw kill everything. That's pretty reasonable. So I think that Diamond's going to kind of sit in the jungle a little bit more, farm more than you would normally see him on someone like Lee Sin or Xin Zhao, where he'll gank
safe
pretty
game.
frequently. Yeah, he's going to be a little bit safe. You know, they're not looking for any crazy major moves early on because it burned them a little bit in the beginning where they you know, tried to stop the counter jungle. So I think it's a more reserved game from M5. And it's just like, Genja, just have a safe lane. I might even see M5 go for a lane swap just to give Genja free farm and to let him get to that late game.
Yeah, TPA was really focused just on how to hold and start the aggression in the game. We saw the turret at 22 minutes. That's quite a late turret. They were allowing Moscow 5 to grab Dragon. We'll see if it happens again. It really didn't affect the game that much for him. Jumping into the match now, we are ready to get underway with your last matchup, do or die for both teams as we come into the semifinal match. Moscow 5 BenQ versus Taipei Assassins. One team is going home and one team is going on to the World Finals.
Yeah, these teams are guaranteed $150,000 for being one of the 4 best teams in the world. By all rights, the 4 best teams in the world. You're seeing them in front of you today. After this match, we've got another semifinal as Counterlogic Gaming Europe does take on Azubu Frost for the other final slot. Yeah, the remake of the OGN Champions Summer League. But here you've got the Game 3 for the best teams in the world. One of these guys is going into the finals. You know, we've heard a lot of the audience call M5 BenQ a heavy favorite. Reginald favored M5 BenQ as a heavy favorite, but a lot of these other players, Hotshot and I think Wicket as well, saying that TPA had the advantage here, and TPA once again playing aggressively.
Pressure and poke start off this invasion. They did get a little bit of damage onto Alex. He is going to not exactly use that to advantage, but have to stay in the back for this fight. He's really going to be able to only throw barrels out, maybe get his Ignite off if the fight were to happen. But I'm talking about something that won't. These guys are headed down a little bit here. It looks like they're going to try to Flash Frost over that bush and grab somebody if they can. They found Gosu. He is forced to flash out, which then gives them the aggression they would love to have in that bottom lane. Freak is going to make it very good for them. Diamond trying to clear out his jungle, knowing that they could be close. They have the ward down, and he says, I just figured they took it already.
And this is actually really smart. TPA already planned to go for red from minute 1. If you look at the top river, they already warded where Shyvana's running by right now, looking for the lizard buff invade. So they know that's happening there as a counterattack right now. And so Lil Balls with the lizard buff knows that there was one coming by, and he's going to go for the steal himself. And the thing is, though, TPA is not actually not really ready to stop that. So despite all their early move, that lizard buff is really just going to trade hands no matter what.
This is just the mechanics of knowing something is going to work and that you're safe doing it. Genja in lane by himself. Here comes from the poke from Mistake. Once they hit level 2, he's going to be able to heal that back, but they're going very aggressive here. Not even worried about Gosu, but Gosu body blocks a Mystic shot, keeping Genja in this fight. They look for the kill, but the flash is forced.
And the thing is, though, Genja, his summoner heal is still available, but the Ignite's already been burned from BB. They did not have the damage to pick up Genja. So this matchup actually really good for M5. Now, Ghost Pepper's low on health. He doesn't have any potions left. He will take some harass, and that's going to be on Mistake. He's got a ward in that brush. He's got that ward there because, again, he wants to poke in that brush. He doesn't want to let Ghost Pepper sit somewhere safe and immune to counterattack, so they want to go for some pressure here, and you'll see Mistake come in. There's the nice pressure. You know, lower the counterattack damage and just walk into the brush safe and sound. That's going to be nice. There's actually no wards here for Ghost Pepper. He opened with boots, which really hurt his lane control. This lane is going to be so hard for M5 because they've got no ward presence whatsoever. You're going to see so much poke come from TPA unless they make any major mistakes, and it'll be hard to capitalize because Ghost Pepper, his exhaust is down. There's not a lot of options here for M5 to counterattack.
Oh, Diamond coming on the backside here. He gets the first bit of damage down. The Twin Bite hits. The Ignite is off. A beautiful Flash Frost from Anivia keeps them from following. And Low Balls will be forced back into his own jungle. He may be able to get some experience here, but you can see how Diamond Prox is using this to his advantage. He is just going through the jungle now, stealing what he can, knowing Little Balls cannot face him. This bottom lane pushing quite hard. Freak, you said it's going to be hard without wards, and even with the composition, Mistake wants to Q all day long. He's going to be doing damage to minions, and that wave is going to continue to push, making it even harder for them.
And the one good thing here for TPA Assassins is that Mistake has that Fairy Charm early on, so he's going to keep healing on Sona. I mean, look at M5's health bars. They're so empty right now. Kog'Maw is out of potions. Nunu out of potions. There's no sustain there. Genja not having a good time of this one. He's got that 3 lifesteal from Masteries, and the Summoner heal if it gets into a pinch. Now, hopefully TPA remembers that that's still up, or otherwise they're going to get baited into a bad fight. But other than that, there's not a lot of recourse here. M5 going to keep taking harass. Maybe they lose their turret, but, you know, ultimately it just makes it a really, really scary situation for Genja.
You know, Freak, I really like Sona as a matchup to Nunu. The heals usually just negate the Flash Frost, and to the point where you gain an advantage in the lane. You can carry it off of that as well as the poke. Little Balls coming in mid here. Alex taking a cleaver, but he realizes that, you know, it's kind of just aggressiveness in mid. I'll back off from this. They do still have Little Balls around that area, and we have seen that Mundo gank come in quite hard. Is actually going for his Wraith. Stanley pushing top, keeping Darian down at low mana, but keeping him in that lane as well. Stanley is trying to keep him farming these minions at the turret, but he just wants to keep pushing them in as well, denying that experience as much as possible. You can see Darren trying to just throw his mana out to get minions in his favor. 27-27, he's keeping it actually quite even. There's really no lead in any lane, and as I say that, I look down, it's going to be BB with 34 CS to Genja's 18.
And that is a huge lead. That is, again, that bottom lane being so incredibly amazing, but this top lane is super safe as well. Of course, we just pan away from that, but Stanley knows that there is no exhaust on the opposing jungler. The Lizard buff is timed out by now. He doesn't even need wards. You know, Darian can't follow up. He's out of mana, so he can't slow. Shyvana, again, has no crowd control as well. This Nidalee is super, super safe. Still has all 3 health potions. There was no reason for Nidalee to leave until that 7.5 minute mark when Lizard buff comes back out. You know, Darian finally recalled back and got some mana, but even still, there's not a lot of options here for M5 to stop Stanley. He will happily stay in this lane and happily keep pressuring. There is no way to stop him in this top lane.
Both junglers feeling comfortable in the opposing enemy's jungle. We can see Mundo going down bottom as Diamond Proc smites away the big Wraith. He will be coming from behind. There is no ward here, and it looks like he will take a bit of damage. Goes for Gosu though, and they're playing in a safe position. No real damage taken there. Alex pushing his lane into Anivia. Not exactly the best last hitter at the turret, but they are both level 6, so she's going to be able to clean up quite easily. His Toys more than happy to just auto-attack a siege there under his turret. 7 minutes into the game, no turrets, no kills. First blood still to come out. Somebody to get that gold lead. It is 7.5 thousand gold even right now.
And they are just absolutely splitting this gold. The one thing that's going well for M5 BenQ is that their bottom lane is able to clear off the minion wave and then run to their jungle and pick up the double golems down there. They've done that at least once now. That helps them keep up in gold. It's about 65 gold every time you clear that wave out, and that does, scale up throughout the game. But it's the one thing that's going to keep Genja in this game because this lane's still a bit of a mismatch, still very difficult for him.
See Mundo again. See Hotshot building those Doran shields onto Mundo when he plays them as well. Little Ball's taking the same into consideration with that health regen as well as a little bit of armor and health. So we'll see him trying to really utilize that to get himself out in lane to be more aggressive. He's going to soak up some experience here in mid as Alex Ich goes back. Very well timed on the minion wave, crushing into the turret in middle. Aggression here up atop. Stanley just trying to throw down. You can see the damage trade completely in his favor this time. It's a different game. Darian did not have that swap lane to farm against, and that just the one player. So it's going to be a little bit different for him this game. We can see him falling behind.
There's a really good piece of teamwork coming on, though, from M5 BenQ, is that Diamond now at 7 minutes has picked up an Oracle's Elixir. What this means is he's about to hit level 6 and have his ultimate so he can initiate for fights, and he's got Lizard buff again for the next 2 minutes as well. And Alex Ich in that mid lane, who loves to roam and is on Gragas, has now surpassed level 6 as well. There is a ton of roam opportunity for M5 BenQ, and when you want to roam and pick up kills, you want to sweep out wards with that Oracle's Elixir. So you're going to see Diamond run around the map, sweep out those side lanes, and suddenly M5 is going to run in for fights very, very soon. In the next 2 minutes, expect a lot of ganks.
Darian forced again under his turret. The attacks come out from Stanley. The hits go down. The damage trade about equal there. You can see Stanley probably trying to rethink doing that once again with the turret shot. Darian playing each instance that he can to get that damage back. A little bit of a gold lead here going in favor of TPA, but they tick together, keeping about 100 gold difference. Toys picking up that blue buff. It is now up for Alex Ich, and he is forcing one more wave again into the turret here for Toys. Mundo at the top of his jungle. Little Balls in his build. Still really hasn't bought too much for himself. He's only 8 CS behind, 8 minions rather, behind Diamond Procs. No real aggression from them in the lane sweep. But you said once these buffs are distributed, the junglers find themselves. They're going to be aggressing. Here we see Toys getting damage done to him. A beautiful exploding cast coming from Alex, but he's just not able to get the kill down as the flash is forced.
It was a really, really nice move. Every skill shot landed. Ignite used as well. The flash down for Toys is a pretty scary place to be in. Now, he's got some counterattack damage available with the Golem buff. With his Ignite available, he should have a decent shot of this. But he was forced to recall, buy some new items. Alex, we said that Toys needed to bring his A game and really be the big carry and shut down Alex. And that ended up being, somewhat the case in Game 2. His Game 3, though, slightly in Alex Ich's favor on Gragas. That's a very, very big deal because their bottom lane's not in great shape. Their top lane, not amazing either for M5 BenQ. And so they need some of that pressure to really come through that mid lane. They need him to show up and get some gold.
Little Balls not knowing that Moscow 5 has been taking those golems, as you just said, and finds himself a little bit of damage. And here comes Alex and Diamond. They are going to come down behind the entire team. There are really no wards there, but once they get into this bush, they are going to be able to see them. Is it too late, though? Mistake does have the ulti. He chooses to use it. Bebe still with shift up, and they walk away from this one quite easily, Freak.
And they needed that ultimate to come out early on. They could not have waited until Shyvana dove in. Now, Explosive Cask was down. I don't think they really counted that cooldown from Alex. But even still, just the pressure, from Shyvana and just the damage output coming in and possibly the body slam from Alex could have been enough. Toys not in the best place right now against Alex either. He'll land the stun, should be able to walk away from this one. Explosive Cask, though, up pretty soon.
Great trade in damage. Alex knows he's winning, but he has to be careful. The minion wave coming up on him started to really trade that in Toys' favor. Little Balls just on the backside as well. Alex, however, playing a very aggressive mid on this Gragas right now. The blue buff on him continues to farm away. Diamond coming in. They go in on mistake, but he flashes out. A little bit of crowd control from the exhaust, but really, as we said before, no hard crowd control to lock these guys down.
That was actually incredibly impressive, though. Both of them completely dodging those fights out and dealing a bunch of damage to Genja in the process, and Lil Balls waiting right there, actually, still putting the pressure on. Now, the one thing that's gone really well for Diamond is that he has gone for that early Oracle. He's spent a lot of wards in doing so. So he's put out a lot of pressure early on. But he's not put pressure on that top lane. Stanley, you know, I criticized that Nidalee counterpick. Turns out it's a really, really good counterpick. Rushing that Chalice gave him the mana regen he needed and the magic resist to actually out-trade Darien and keep the pressure on. And again, knowing that he's Nidalee, knowing that there's not a lot of pressure coming in from Shyvana, knowing that he's not the focus here, that M5 would leave Darien to his lane, allowed him to keep the pressure on and actually snowball his other lanes forward by killing off turrets.
Once again, the Chalice into Spirit Visage coming up for Stanley. He's going for the same exact build. If it's not broke, don't fix it. 104 minion kills coming for Alex as he just continues to bolster that number coming into this. Freak, I really got to hand it to the junglers right now. Little Balls and Diamond playing very well. Whenever a gank comes down, they're there, counter ganking or initiating the gank. They have really been the ones that are keeping this game at 0-0.
They're absolutely kind of making a lot of plays here. Alex, though, taking a bit of pain there. Oh my gosh, this is not good for Little Balls.
That was a really great ultimate. Little Balls, I thought he was going to disperse them away, but he throws them under the turret. So he forced the ultimate there. We have heard Reginald say you can use the Gragas ulti quite a bit, so it's not too bad that he has it down. And you can still see that he's playing aggressive.
Yeah, so yeah, these junglers are trying to put pressure on the map overall. You know, show up to ganks when they're available. But they've been counter ganking so well that no one's been able to really put the pressure on. And this is M5 playing so intelligently because basically TPA counterpicked every single lane. They saw Yorick come out early and counterpicked with Nidalee. They saw the duo lane come out with Kog'Maw and Nunu, and they counterpicked their Sona Ezreal. They saw Gragas come out. They counterpicked with Anivia. I think with the exception of the jungle, every single one of TPA's lanes was basically picked second and reacted every single pick. And they've tried to build themselves counter lanes in every single situation. M5, despite having a late game composition, are actually surviving this early mid game very, very well. With the exception of that early turret kill, there's been no major advantage. M5 will still scale throughout this game. They've still got a really great team composition at the end of the day. And, this looks a lot like Counter Logic Gaming Europe versus Team WE, where that late game just gets scarier and scarier. There was a Nunu Kog'Maw. That is the epitome of a late game team. There needs to be some more pressure here from TPA.
Just look at this lane from Stanley up top. He has so much more confidence this game. I said if it's not broken, don't fix it. He plays Nidalee versus Yorick again. You can see him taking some damage here, trying to jump past, get some minions in his favor during this fight, but he's going to be forced out of this one. However, he took that turret down way earlier than last game, at least 10 minutes before that, knowing he would win his lane definitively, pushing Darien in. There's going to be a lot quicker roam now, a 2,000 gold lead coming from TPA, and they're going to be able to control the map just as they did last time. So that play from Stanley is just huge this game.
And you think Little Balls finally now picking up his his own oracles on Dr. Mundo, finished the Heart of Gold, allowed him, said, okay, I've got the gold income now from the Heart of Gold. I can start moving around and doing more things on the map. But you're seeing differing builds come through here, right? You're seeing a Wriggles Lantern be the focus here for Diamond. He's going to move in and try to, put a lot of pressure on the map. And here comes a gank at the bottom lane.
Diamond getting hit off from Freak. We said it before. The jungler is always there at the perfect time, stopping these ganks from happening or going in anybody's favor. They finally do drop the second turret of the match here. No, they're forced off. Almost getting it. Great job by Genji to just focus down on those minions, but they do have that turret prepped for a kill. Alex Each looks like he's grabbing Wraiths and may head down for an assistance here, but they have to know that a lot of time has been taken, so what do they consider to be something that's worth their time right now?
Genji's baiting out because he's got a bunch of teammates coming in. Darien flanking around the back. This is going to be bad.
This is going to be big, and there is Darien. They did spend enough time down bottom taking out BB.
Nice move overall. You're going to see now. They get map control for it too, of course. They've got the oracles, they've got all that pressure. Stanley will trade for a turret, and actually, this is a really good turret to trade for. It is very hard to kill secondary turrets here, so this is actually, I think, an advantageous trade overall for TPA.
Just looks like one of those games that bottom lane will soon be forgot about with all the focus top. That Baron's going to be next. They get a kill, or they get Dragon rather. Beautiful steal there, looking for the kill. Baby is still down. Goes to Pepper with a sliver of health. Looking top as Alex Ish tries to hold off Stanley. Toys here on the chase, throws down the wall, just missing out. Diamond, the ultimate passing in front of him as well. Moscow 5 walks away from this one, but Toys on Anivia grabbing Dragon.
This is actually really good. Stanley chasing this one down. Must force that flash. Alex just dodging those attacks. If any basic attack had landed, that Lucifer buff would have been enough to chase that one down. Alex was out of mana, and that's really the good really the great thing about Nidalee is she can fight tooth and nail for a while. Everyone can get low on health and low on mana, and then she's like, well, great, Cougar form costs no mana. I'm going to assassinate you. Thank you very much. Really good situation there. And with that Dragon Steel in there as well, they've actually pushed themselves very, very far ahead. That's normally really the skill there for Diamond. And I think there was some coordination there, TPA saying, you know what? Yeah, our smite, you know, we're not going to kill it, but Anivia can last hit it. We'll smite early and make that happen.
And that is who has the most gold. Anivia, 5,600 for Toys. And right behind him is actually going to be Vivi. These guys are carrying the game. 49,000 for Alex East, or 4,900 I should say. He hasn't even hit 5,000 yet, so you can see that money domination for Taipei Assassins is really what keeps them winning these fights. Now we do have that first blood coming in for Darian, but it's going to be that money that really helps TPA in these fights as they get together as a team. We've seen Moscow 5 has very strong mechanics, but Taipei Assassins is finding a way through that, and they're really taking these fights in their favor. The Dragon Steel helped them a lot with the control of gold. They have 3 turrets down on the map. Freak. The entry of the jungle becomes so much more heavy for them now. They're able to just initiate so much more. Stanley getting himself in a pretty sticky situation here as he makes his way into the bush, dodges the Flash Frost, or Ice Blast I should say, and they make it out for the teleport. So really, TPA just continuously pressuring the aggression until they find a fight they want.
This is really exactly what is happening here, because M5, you know, they know M5 does not want to fight yet. They know that they've, just like Reginald said, picked that early game dominant team, even though they didn't start out 3-1 like last time, but they're actually starting to win their lanes. We're seeing 156 to 120 at the top lane, 180 to 170, actually pretty much a wash in the middle, but the big difference is 150 to 110 at that bottom lane. You're seeing a Bloodthirster Phage versus just a Zeal among the AD carries, so you're absolutely seeing TPA with a big advantage early on. They know that the fight is not there for M5, that they are just happy to, M5 actually must really sit in the back and defend, and so they're turning that advantage into turret. A very fortunate Dragon Steel, to be fair. That was very close, that was neck and neck, but they're going to keep that pressure on. They're going to let Stanley overextend just a little bit, because he knows there's not a lot of damage yet here on the other team, and they're going to let him kind of move in and really go for pressure here, trying to turn these around, get more turret advantages, because then, you know, as Hotshot I think said, where, you know, you've got to accrue enough of a gold lead early on, right, that when it comes to late game, you're still on equal footing, because, hey, if you're richer, you've got items, who cares what your champion is?
Forced out of the fight there. Taipei Assassins continuing to keep the aggression on as they are now in the jungle trying to get the smite out, and they do grab it. You see that going to BB, so that's going to be very effective for him in these upcoming fights. Taipei Assassins, they've, up until this point, it went a lot faster than last game. Oh, Genja getting aggressed on here down in the bottom. It does not look like he's in a happy place, and it looks like the ultimate will be able to wipe him out. He will not be in position for Cathy, and surprise, a little bit on mistake. More than happy to take it as they wipe out that wave as well, trying to stop the damage on the turret. You can see Toys clearing the experience as they just continue to deny. And this is really what we saw Taipei Assassins. I was just about to say they're not doing this as fast as they did last game. We got to this point where they took down the turrets, and then we've extremely slowed down. This is when we saw Vayne running around, taking down turrets one after the other. Taipei Assassins rolling back into the flow of things here. They're going to micro the damage from the turret in and out, and they're going to be able to take this one down as the minions finally come in. They have such control over the map, and even for this to happen, a great job mentally knowing that the rest of M5 was really hurt or backing. There's not even a chance for Baron. They have all the time to walk around.
And this is really, you know, TPA playing this, and I'm surprised actually, they played it as a split push, but it's actually working out because they accrued that early game lead. You know, I said, you know, my first guess was that I'm worried about playing split push because they're going to be able to, you know, scale on you late game. But with all the lanes winning, that split push is allowing them to actually put a lot of pressure on different lanes, because the difficulty for them is that they're facing against Kog'Maw, who's got area of effect, and against Gragas, who's got amazing area of effect damage. M5 is really good at sweeping out minion waves. And so what Taipei Assassins is doing is putting pressure on so many places on the map that M5 can't stop them all. In fact, they're not stopping them anywhere. The bottom lane second turret went down. The top lane second turret went down. There's now a 5,000 gold lead. Despite splitting, you know, champion kills equally 1-to-1, they're up 5 turrets to 1. They stole the dragon. They're winning in minions because of their lane mismatches, and they're continuing to keep the pressure on. They're still up 50 gold, 40 minions top lane, 50 minions bottom lane, a negligible amount in that mid lane, which is fine. That's not, you know, really the emphasis there. Anivia is there to put a lot of pressure and stop pushes. If you look at M5 trying to engage on, Crystallized Wall will stop them in their tracks and prevent the rest of the team from following in. If Diamond does dive in with Shyvana, Crystallized will stop anyone else from following up.
So Moscow 5 stopping the amount of deaths this time by last game. It was about 6-1 in favor of TPA Assassins coming from the blue side. And right now, with the Dragons and everything in their favor, they actually have 5,000 gold lead because of the turrets. They went a lot more for objectives this game instead of those early kills, and they're really controlling this matchup. Trying to throw out some damage there. They're just trying to push Gosu out of lane. They cannot, Moscow 5 cannot allow TPA to continue winning those small damage streaks.
And this is a TPA, actually. Now, that I think about it, I didn't think about this in Champions Select, but everyone on that team has poke. Sona, not the longest range overall, but you've got Nidalee, you've got Dr. Mooney, you've got Anivia, you've got Ezreal. All of them can deal damage 1,000 range away on the opposition. And as soon as M5 picked up that Nunu first pick, they knew there is no healer on this roster. Not a single person, except for Yorick, and a little bit of Gragas as well, can really replenish their health bars easily. And oh, look at that, we're Crystallized blocking out Darian. Forcing him to flash away. That is a loss right there.
See, he's still trying to focus. He is not happy about what happened in that situation. They pushed him out of the fight. Ultimates used on both sides. Looks like they're forced out of this one. The teleport coming in from Nidalee, but it is stopped as well. So he's going to stay bottom lane and harass Genja. So Stanley now versus Genja in that bottom lane as the rest of his team begins to push here. He's going to be able to get some good damage. No, he hit actually Genja with something there. Took a little turret dagger, was forced to walk back. But if his team can keep them up top, no, they can't. They've allowed him towards the bottom. Stanley now forced to fend for himself, flashing over the wall. If he can hit that bush, he's pretty much out of here and gone. His team will be able to help him. And we can see the pressure he's able to push. Just Stanley is dictating where Moscow 5 needs to be.
And look at Toys' build. It's really interesting. He rushed the Fiend's Unholy Grail, but then immediately jumped onto Banshee's Veil, knowing that TPA's strength, again, is a long-range poke team. Now that they've sieged a lot of turrets, now that they've built themselves a 5,000 gold lead, this actually looks a lot like a Zubu Frost versus TSM Game 1, where their team is so long-range, and M5 has to have a really kind of unfortunate engagement, a very difficult engagement to push themselves in. And the best way to do that is explosive cast, pushing Toys out of position, and just making an omelet out of Anivia. By getting that Banshee's Veil, there's no easy way, as long as he's able to dodge abilities, there's no easy way for them to actually, get her out of position. The explosive cast will get blocked by Banshees. If he's watchful, he can dodge the artillery shots from Kog'Maw and never get that Banshee's pop. There's no really other way for them to easily break that Banshees. And so if Toys is on his A game, he's watchful and making sure he's paying attention, he should never get chunked out and never get out of position, and he will continue to be that crazy long-range threat that doesn't allow anything to happen to his teammates.
So both teams have considerably slowed down now. It's still 1-1. There's a lot of caution being played here throughout this semifinal matchup, as it is do or die for League of Legends Season 2. These teams trying to get themselves a ticket here to World Finals to vie for that $2 million prize pool. At 24 minutes into the game, TPA has a slight gold lead, but at the 1-1 on kills, these team fights really have not had true definition in them. Both teams have kind of been spread out during the fights. We've had somebody pushing bottom. Genji wasn't the last one with Stanley, and then they were forced to go bottom. We see how tanky Stanley is, though. Darian played a huge role in the first game where we saw him get Triforce Guardian Angels. They're not up to that point yet, so they can't be that tanky front line that they are required. The crowd control will not lock people in there for them. And Freak, like you said, the poke strap from TPA Assassins has obviously just crushed down the turrets of Moscow 5. They're now forced to defend this, really putting vision in their own jungle, trying to defend and catch somebody off guard on a team that is very, very mobile.
And what TPA is going for now is they realize that these turrets are much harder to kill. It's very difficult to go for an inhibitor turret. Their split push got the pressure and killed the top and bottom middle turrets there. Let's go down to the inhibitors there. This mid lane is the only easily accessed turret left, but like we just talked about, M5's lineup specifically with Kog'Maw and Gragas are very good at stopping pushes. So M5 are looking to sweep wards, or not M5 rather, but TPA are looking to sweep wards and bait M5 into an unfavorable battle. The entire area from blue team into Baron is just filled with amazing places for Anivia walls. If you go from the Golem area, there's just like a really tiny choke point that even level 1 Crystallize would block out. You go from the other entrance near the brush, again, Crystallize will block that out as well without much effort. If you ever see TPA go for a Baron attempt, expect to see Toys in one of these brushes, once he gets Golem buff, expect to see him in one of those brushes near that Baron pit, but not actually fighting Baron too much himself, ready to Crystallize and block off M5 when they go in. Now, he might block off all 5 if they think they can kill Baron in time, they just simply pick up the kill, or they'll wait for someone to cross, wall off the rest of the team, and then jump in onto that teammate. Now the problem is, if they wall off one person like Diamond or Darien, Darien's flash is about to come up. Diamond, of course, is Shyvana, can ult back over or flash back over. Alex can body slam or flash, and again, everyone at N5 has flash. So I would not expect TPA to try to wall off one member, go for a kill, because it means, they'll have to turn around, Baron will get some health back, they'll just flash back over, Criticize will be on cooldown, and then N5 can go back into the fight. So what they want to do is finally clear out enough wards that M5 has to guess when they go for Baron. And when they guess, they need to get to the point where they see someone in the bottom lane, like Genji's trying to farm at the bottom, or Stanley split pushes, forces Genji to defend, and then teleports to his team. Once they've blinded all the ward vision, and once they've done that with their Oracle sweeps and started out Baron, they can deal a whole bunch of damage, they can pick that out, and just crush it down really fast, and Mundo, Nidalee, and Ezreal are really good at that. And then they can kind of go together, wall off the engagement, pick up Baron, and then siege again from there. With Baron buff, it's very easy to siege.
As they are going for it, I feel that some of Moscow 5's points of victory are now being nullified as everybody on TPA is acting as the carry. Very nice barrel coming in from Alex. A lot of damage being taken off there, and that is something that is considerable in a fight, especially on BB. If you can separate him from Mistake, there is not much peel that will stop the fight from happening. Stanley off on the side, but can get to the fight very quickly. True Shot Barrage going out. Looks like the blue buff actually goes to Toys on that one. Again, stealing a buff for himself. Actually stole Dragon last time. The initiation goes down. This is the damage that they needed. They are able to get a good amount down. They do drop 1 for 1 right now. BB finds himself on the ground. The focus on Stanley, but it is the escape artist Nidalee to flash out alive, and they're only able to grab 2 for Gosu. A huge fight for Moscow 5.
And that was an unfortunate initiation. TPA burned all of their cooldowns on Ngozi Pepper, but they were all grouped together. They were just touching each other, holding hands, and getting just crushed down by Absolute Zero, getting crushed down by Shyvana's initiation, and the barrels coming out from Alex Ish. That was the exact fight they needed, killing out the AD carry. M5 now has map control, and they're going to immediately jump for the biggest thing they can. They've got to risk it here. They're going for Baron.
They put Genja in the right spot. If they did not have him for this, they would not be attempting Baron. But good pressure now coming in from Stanley. They have Anivia on the right side, and that just spells too much burst damage for them. They back off.
And that's just so unfortunate. And that and part of that is TPA putting so much pressure on the map that, look at the top wave. The top wave is so shoved down, M5 could not counterattack and go for like a top lane turret. Dragon was dead. That bottom lane maybe had enough pressure to push for that, but the problem is they can't go bottom lane because it enables Baron to TPA. So TPA, because of how much pressure they put throughout this map, they've only allowed Baron as like the only counterattack option for M5. As long as that top lane is pushed down, M5 can win fights for days and never capitalize with any kind of major objective. And that means that a team fight is only worth 450 gold per champion. It's not worth more than that. And that actually allows TPA to kind of hold on to this gold lead longer, even if they misstep.
Really just super safe play around Baron. You see Stanley putting down the bushwhacks, acting as semi-wards. Obviously the team has to walk through them. They start to clear out the Baron pit, and they go to force the fight again. They may have waited a little too long as they were pushing away Moscow 5 there during that portion of time when they were back to base. There it is, the crescendo going off, missing the entire team. Stanley all by himself, forcing Gosu out of the fight. He won't even be assisted. And it is going to be huge damage onto Toys. Diamond now forced out. You can see the area of effect coming from that Anivia ultimate has completely spread out Moscow 5's team. They're all forced to get kills now. The mobility of this team, however, allows them to catch up in these ganks. You can see just how spread out. Genja had to go to the left. We saw them going to the right. Gosu Pepper did go down in that fight as Stanley just had his way with them freaks. TPA dictated that fight from the second one.
And a lot of that was really the Harrier Stanley on Nidalee completely splitting up that roster, and it looks so much like that prior fight where TPA got jumped on, and it was just like, oh, this is scary. Toys got jumped. Oh my gosh, everyone's going to lose their cooldowns and get dropped out. Mistaken fully whipped crescendo. But the thing is, Genja was never there to follow up for that fight. The last one where M5 went up 2-1 in the battle, it's because Genja got to keep putting on damage, on top of the ultimates going off, on top of everyone else dealing a whole bunch of damage. That was not the case this time around. That was Nidalee pulling so much aggression, and by going Trinity Force here, playing a bit of a different role here, actually being offensive based, he is able to jump onto Genja and really ruin his day. Genja must respond to Stanley's moves, and with Stanley being level 18 with Stanley, a 3-level advantage there that really allows him to jump on the Genja and force a response. And so Genja cannot hit targets he wants. He cannot push down on the rest of TPA. And Stanley being so amazingly strong, a lot of magic resist, now going for a Guardian Angel on top of that. There's no easy reaction to Nidalee here.
They are really shutting down Genja this matchup. He is already out of the base. Don't think he has too much money under his belt, and he's actually going against Triforce, Bloodthirster, as well as a little bit of damage mitigation. I think we're going to see maybe a Quicksilver Sash. I'm not sure. That Negatron Cloak is out on Ezreal, but you can just see 10,000 gold to 7,600 gold. He hasn't even finished the Infinity Edge yet. He does have a Phantom Dancer, but with 31 minutes into the game, you really need to see a lot more pressure coming from your AD carries. Huge props to TPA Assassins for shutting down that champion.
And once again, they're just going to put the pressure on the Baron. They're going to be ready to toss those crystallized out. There's Toys waiting in that brush. Gets the wall off on a Darian, and his flash is up, though he should be safe. He's just tanking and baiting time.
This is the damage he needs. He does throw his ult out that Crescendo goes to. They put a ward over the wall so they can see better in this fight. The entire team is making it there. Darian gets himself out of life. Two-shot barrage going through them. Not enough damage to take him down. A beautiful void ooze from Genja, but the flash wall from Toys. The initiation is still on, and they're forced to back out of this one as they just did not want to walk through the choke of that wolf.
Now, once again, that is Darian playing his role so effectively, saying, yes, focus me, stop hitting Baron, just fight me, I dare you. Pop his Guardian Angel, but that's fine. He gets to go back to base, buy items, and once again, TPA's attempt at killing Baron is stopped again. Now, they've lost a Guardian Angel for it. That is relevant, but the longer that the M5 can buy time, once Genja gets that Infinity Edge, you've seen their team fights be so good that it's just, can Genja actually deal damage? If he can, you'll see these team fights go M5's way.
Really needs that item. Once he hits it, probably about 35 minutes, Genja will become a time bomb for his team, and it needs to be protected. They are going back towards that Baron area. They could have the upper hand here. It's quite low mana for TPA. I'd be very surprised if they try to start this fight. 3 to 4 is the kill score as it just continues to creep up. TPA with a bit of a lead there. And they're looking at an 8,000 gold lead overall with 4 turrets in their favor. This giving them the map control. You can see Nidalee going down bottom. That teleport is up, however, Freak. They're going to be able to play this one very cautiously. They're going to go back, make sure they leave a few that can still poke at Baron. We're going to have BB there. They obviously don't want to leave this one up, but they have to realize they have the oracles. They're like, they can't even see us backing. We're perfectly fine to do this. TPA is just really playing the clock in their favor right now.
Yeah, but again, that clock is still risky because Genja will continue to scale. Now, finally, you're going to see a death cap come in soon from Toys. That'll be a big damage shift. There it is, picked up there. That's a very, 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 very important buy, but there we go. Stanley getting his Guardian Angel on top of that. Now it's going to be even harder for Genji to survive this. He's got enough armor, honestly, that even Infinity Edge Phantom Dancer, not all that difficult to deal with. Lil Balls, again, preparing for the Baron attempt, running through, sweeping wards, putting another one down, and once more starting out this attempt. Evie, though, burning his Arcane Ship for this, a little bit of a risky proposition.
See what they do have. That True Shot Barrage is down. We have a few flashes down for TPA, but most of their summoner spells are up. I'd say 90%. All of them except for Ignite Flash for Darian. These teams are definitely ready to dance out this Baron right now. They are in the best possible sorts of their summoner spells and abilities. However, the items in favor of TPA. So it's really going to have to focus this fight perfectly. Darian getting locked up. He took a little bit of damage. That's going to be a tower for TPA as they solidified their advantage a little bit more. Going to start pushing all of these waves down. You can see the pings going back. They're saying, let's make sure none of the buffs are there. Let's deny everything we can in their camps and only give them the small waves that are coming in. And that's the thing that's going to hurt Genja as well. He doesn't have a lane to farm. He's only picking up minions every so often with his team clearing these waves. So he's not going to get that Infinity Edge super soon.
An aggressive move in, and there's the crescendo.
That's going to be big damage. Darian will go down. The ultimate was used previously. No, actually, he has it back up in time. So they will have some time to create some disruption here. Alex Ish does not like it, though. Flat or exhausted out quite quickly. His damage does nothing as he waits for cooldowns. He does not want his Guardian Angel to go down in vain. You're going to see that fight forced out. He does have the red and the Fates proc going on him. Alex Ish will go down. They're going to focus that Guardian Angel. We see very low health on Toys as well. He's forced to go back into the fight. The portion of it, they know they're going to win. Stanley still giving 0 F's as he just fights in a 2v1 situation. 35 minutes into the game, TPA completely dictating this entire fight. We have 2 down for Moscow 5. Then Q, Stanley just jumping right out of absolute zero as True Shot Barrage hits. And you can see they're keeping them from backing. Stanley is allowing this Baron to go completely uncontested.
And that's going to be the exact right answer here. They had the Baron dance earlier, getting that turret kill, and then finally got themselves into the battle they wanted. They just split up M5 completely. Baron is theirs, 53 to 41,000 gold. This is looking so good for the TPA Assassins. They've just been strangleholding the map the entire time. Not a single major mistake. With one bad team fight, but M5 couldn't capitalize. That team fight just didn't go anywhere, even when M5 got control, because they had minions where they wanted them. There was no counterattack available. It was only a 300 gold swing, and they were back on it. And you saw just all the moves that were being made. Stanley putting the pressure on the bottom lane, teleporting in when the team fight mattered. TPA constantly forcing M5 off of their turret, make them lose minion waves on their own turrets, and making them run in to stop Baron, walling and burning flashes, walling and making Darian lose a Guardian Angel, just accruing small advantages after small advantages. And as long as they keep doing them with enough frequency, they come back in before the Guardian Angels back up. They come back in before flashes back up. They do that enough, and they pick up some kills.
Forcing a flash out of Stanley. He does have flash and teleport down now. Not exactly the window we've been speaking of for teams really to fight in. They do have to get that Infinity Edge. Finally now onto Genja. 36 minutes in. Genja, very pushed back throughout this entire game, has done well for himself. However, he's only going to be about, he's just 60 minions down on BB. BB's had free reign over the map, and like I said, with the lanes being pushed, they don't have much to farm singly, so Genja's been forced to find what he can in and out of Gragas barrels from Alex Hitch. And that's really not trying to hurt each other, really doing that on purpose, but it is going to hurt in general as they come into these fights. BB so far ahead right now, Freak. This Baron buff could cause that tower to go down.
This is do or die right now for M5. There's no teleport on Stanley. He's only a half lane away, but they did poke off the Banshee's Veil from Anivia. You can see that ticking down on the bottom right of your screen. It's about halfway down. That's really their time to go in. They need to get toys out in the fight.
Oh, very nice stop there. Genja on the right side to get that. Oh, Little Ball's going down instantly as he gets caught out. They take down Mistake. They have the initiation on this fight, but they choose to halt on it, push out their lanes, and figure out where they can go from here.
So much damage being dealt, and you just saw the explosive cast forcing that fight to go the way they wanted. Lil Ball's just not tanky enough to withstand all of that pressure. But again, there was no counterattack available for M5 BenQ. In fact, TPA will even get the Dragon for themselves despite losing 2 for nothing. They're even going to try for this Golem right here that, you know, again, yes, losing 2 kills is a gold swing. It's about 750 gold, actually more like 800 gold for getting that kill taken away, but it's still not that big of a deal. They've still got map control, and they're still ready to put the advantage on. But now we're getting to that point where gold matters less and less. That late game finally starting to happen. M5 channeling their fellow continent, CLG EU, into their gameplay and forcing themselves into that late game. Nunu Kog'Maw will be incredibly difficult to deal with at the end of this game. So right now what I think is that a Frozen Heart needs to come out, I think, from Nidalee here. She needs to put that on and slow down the attacks into that opposition, because Kog'Maw's now really scary, Shyvana's now really scary, and even Yorick's going to be a bit difficult. He's got that Trinity Force, he's got some decent damage output, but it's mostly to survive Kog'Maw. Again, these team comps are about bashing their skulls into each other in the front line. They've got to withstand the damage from Genja's Kog'Maw here.
We saw how much pressure Gosu was getting in the early part of the game. He really just went for an item that's going to facilitate Kog'Maw 100%, as well as Diamond procs, but really Stark's, or that Zeke's Herald rather, the lifesteal as well as attack speed, just buffing up, and it's really going to be going to Kog'Maw. You'll see them really sticking together. Gosu has been forced out of the fight, and Stanley's been doing a great job at that. He can only blood boil once. It lasts quite a long time, but that aura from Zeke's is not going to be assisting the team. So we'll see if Stanley goes ahead, focuses Gosu one more time in the fight. They're also missing out a few times now. I think the last time we saw Gosu use Absolute Zero in a fight was in bottom lane.
It's been, you know, quite a while overall, and that's, you know, really, really significant that, you know, that Absolute Zero is going to be a huge deal, because there's actually very few interrupts for it. Now, it won't hit all that hard. He's only level 12, and there is a front line to deal with, and BB and Toys, they play it right, shouldn't be hit by that damage whatsoever. But the thing is, it's still a significant amount of crowd control, and it really will mess with the front line, not allowing them to kite, and it really just lets Genja melt that front line more. That's what this is all about. It's just, again, bashing your skulls into the skulls of your opponents, and just saying who's got more gold, who does more damage. And so the M5 front line is there to just lock up the TPA front line and say, Genja, look, you've been cloned, you've got Blood Boil, hope you got some items, man. I add Last Whisper and Phantom Dancer all in here now. He's hit that late game point. It's now the Kog'Maw show. TPA needs an answer.
It is kind of crazy how that takes such an effective turn here. He is going to be outputting probably more damage than Ezreal. The 4 or 5 shot Kog'Maw kills could be coming out now, especially with that Blood Boil on. He's going to be able to drop somebody and be out of the fight and play even safer Kog'Maw than usual. Alex is trying to push this lane out. Stanley continuously staying top lane. You can see him communicating with his team on the screen at the bottom as they just kind of chat this one out and figure out how they're going to continuously push this lane. With that Baron down, you can see little balls can focus down bottom. They don't really have to worry about too many objectives. And you see a good aggress onto Stanley. He's pushed out of the fight though. That blue buff helping Alex to get that ultimate back in just under 60 seconds. It's actually on a 40-second cooldown just about now. And we'll see, it is rank 3. Everybody's just about level 18 except for the junglers and supports. Diamond knows they are going through his jungle. This would not be the engage that Moscow 5 is looking for.
No, they're just going to keep stealing these buffs. And again, this is TPA knowing that they have map control. And in a general fight, especially in the jungle, TPA is happy to just fight like, oh my gosh, Genja, there's a crescendo. He's going to get almost taken down.
Oh, he does live though. However, Yorick ulti coming in. It looks like he wants to get back into this fight, but the Bio Arcane Barrage not even hitting anybody. He throws out one auto attack that entire fight. Very unfortunate. He did take a lot of damage, Freak. Two blinking emblems right now for Moscow 5 as this tower is being pushed. We do see Alex coming down to help his team, but Stanley is by himself up top, pushing that turret. This is not looking good for Moscow 5. The ultimate onto Little Balls. They are going to drop Alex, the Guardian Angel, triggering his Diamond. Drag his descent in the middle of the fight to blow cooldowns for his team. Toys, so much damage going down to him, and they are able to back this one out as he comes up from Rebirth. BB focusing onto the inhibitor. It looks like they drop it. Stanley doing so much work up top, going to drop his own inhibitor as well. 2 go down at the 42-minute mark, and TPA looks to just hang out in Moscow 5's base.
Right now a 3-on-4, but they're getting pushed out. Oh my gosh, the counterattack goes to Pepper and goes down. They've now got a 4-on-2 on the map, and Baron's got to be soon. It's in 10 seconds. That is the most fortunately timed fight ever for TPA because they're going to have complete Baron control. There's no way this gets stolen away, and that was just a perfect setup. They dealt so much damage at the start that they forced Genja out, and as soon as Genja had to go heal, you knew TPA had map control. They could simply just push their faces onto that bottom turret, and they would have the damage to kill it out. And you saw them be a little bit pensive, then finally say, no, Genja's out of the fight. It's okay, guys. He's out. Let's go. Let's pick this one up. Even Mundo will respawn in time to allow Baron buffs to go to everybody. Lil Ball's so tanky now, and you look at his build. I like this build. He's got double Negatron Cloak on top of that Warmogs because he knows that with a Randuin's and a Warmogs, the highest source of damage is actually Genja's W pass. It's actually the Bio Arcane Barrage, so he's adding magic resist to mitigate that. There is going to be so hard for Mundo to drop down here. He's going to be incredibly tanky. You won't see Mundo die again, most likely, unless he gets way too aggressive.
A lot of the team as well went for those Ninja Tabi boots. They're looking for the damage from Ezreal, but that's not going to be helping anymore. There's crowd control that they're getting locked up with that is allowing these fights to continuously happen. Stanley teleporting in, so we're not going to see some kind of cheeky backdoor strat. They're all going for the same lane. They're all going to be, not same lane rather, but they're not going to be jumping lanes. They're going to pick that lane and pressure it down. Looks like mid is going to be the first choice with Little Balls and the option to run towards top with his teammate BB. They're gathering together now in front of this turret. The attack speed from Essence Flux is out for both Little Balls. There goes the exploding cast. Looks like they will initiate this fight on. The turret goes down. Taric gets caught out. He can't even ultimate the crescendo, stopping them from using the abilities. Diamond Prox goes down. The inhibitor is open. The double kill comes out. Moscow 5 looking very grim right now. Taipei Assassins look to take down the last Nexus turret, and they will drop Moscow 5 from the League of Legends Championship playoffs.
And would you look at that, the cheers, the yells, and the look of relief all mixed at the same time on their faces. Taipei Assassins are the first team to make it to the World Finals.
And online in a major tournament, the first to take out Moscow 5.
Well, yeah, as far as internationally goes,